Lin Mo stepped forward for awakening. At the vice principal's deep voice, the once noisy plaza fell silent in an instant. As a genius whose mental power test results had claimed first place across the entire city for 3 consecutive years, Lin Mo's name resounded among this batch of students. Everyone expected this prodigy to awaken an incredibly overpowered mage class and soar to great heights. Lin Mo took a deep breath to calm his racing heartbeat and strode slowly up to the high platform. As a transmigrator, he understood all too well the cruelty of this world. Strength dictated authority, and one's class defined their ceiling. The weak could only scrape by, surviving in the cracks of despair. He gently laid his palm against the cold, awakening stone. Hum! The stone tablet shuddered violently, and a blinding pillar of white light shot straight toward the sky. The teachers below all stood up, their eyes brimming with anticipation. Such commotion, at minimum, an epic tier class. It might even be legendary. A true powerhouse will rise from Weiguang City. Yet once the white light faded, the words etched upon the stone tablet plunged the entire venue into deathly silence. Basic class, warrior. Talent, block common grade, level 1. All damage received is reduced by 10 points each time you take damage. Each talent level increases block's effect by 10 points. Silence. After the stagnant quiet came a tide of jeers and murmurs. No way. He has such extraordinary mental power, but didn't awaken a mage? How can this be? That's it. Just a warrior? A plain common tier warrior at that. Block reduces damage by 10 points? Haha. Even Uncle Lee the Butcher's awakened talent, precise butchery, is better than this. What good is ranking first in mental power? The heavens have played a massive joke on him. The vice principal's originally eager face fell, disappointment plain to see in his eyes. Next, Su Xiaoli. Lin Mo stood atop the platform, staring at the plain talent description and tugged his lips into a self-deprecating smile. A mere 10 points of damage reduction. Talents leveled extremely slowly, requiring enormous amounts of experience, often measured in years. For ordinary people, raising a talent from level 1 to level 2 took at least 1 year. Level 2 to level 3 demanded 3 years, and each subsequent level required far more time. Even if he poured effort into leveling his talent, he would only gain a few dozen points of damage reduction after a decade. Against attacks dealing thousands or even tens of thousands of damage in the later stages, this ability was nothing short of laughable. He had long known his exceptional mental power stemmed from being a transmigrator, yet this result still stung deeply. Suddenly, Lin Mo froze. A stream of pale golden data cascaded across his retinas like a waterfall. Detected host meets mental will requirements. 100 million-fold experience system activating 100 million-fold experience module loaded successfully. Current experience multiplier, 10,000x each level up. Multiplier increases by 1,000. Each class advancement, multiplier times 10, level up experience multiplier times 10. Effective range, all obtainable experience. Whoa, his cheat code had arrived. An uncontrollable surge of joy welled up inside him. It was an experience multiplier system. His base multiplier stood at an astonishing 10,000 times. Right now he was level 0. Every level added another 1,000x multiplier. Once he reached level 20, his experience gain would hit 20,000 times. After the first advancement at level 30, the multiplier multiplied by 10. At that point, his experience gain would reach 300,000 times. Every level up would add another 10,000x multiplier. After the second advancement at level 90, his multiplier would skyrocket to 9 million times. And there were third, fourth, fifth, even sixth advancements waiting ahead. Just thinking about it filled him with awe. In this world where everyone awakened a class, leveling required experience, skills required experience to upgrade, and talents also demanded experience to strengthen. Whoever possessed experience held everything. Think about it. While others' talents linger at just a few levels, his would already be thousands of levels strong. You mock my level 1 block talent as useless? Then let me ask you this. What would you call me when block reaches 10,000 levels? And 1,000,000 levels? Have you heard of the Shield Sovereign? Ignores piercing damage, ignores true damage, ignores all attributes. Every hit is reduced by a fixed value. The noble block mechanic. Once he activates his ultimate ability, foes flee in terror. He suppressed the ecstasy swelling in his chest. As he turned to step down from the platform, a petite figure walked to his side. It was Su Xiaoli, a girl blessed with inhuman strength from childhood. When they were 5 years old, her immense strength made the other children at the orphanage treat her like a monster, bullying and isolating her. Lin Mo had just recovered his memories as a transmigrator back then. He could not bear to watch the poor girl suffer. And so Su Xiaoli became his little follower. At 17, Su Xiaoli confessed her feelings to him. Lin Mo hesitated briefly before agreeing. The two became the most admired couple in school. She carried an off-white bear sling bag, and her head only reached Lin Mo's chest. A petite, youthful girl through and through. Lin Mo, don't be sad. You still have me. I'll take care of you from now on. Her voice was gentle and clear, her gaze earnest, filled with comfort and resolve. I'm not sad. Lin Mo struggled to hold back the grin spreading across his face. He patted her shoulder gently and walked back to the waiting area. Only after watching Lin Mo depart, seemingly dejected, did Su Xiaoli take a deep breath and press her fair palm against the stone tablet. Boom! A scarlet pillar of light tore toward the heavens. Violent ripples of force exploded outward from the tablet, instantly pulverizing the tables and chairs on the platform. Two gleaming golden characters blazed like the midday sun upon the stone. Awakened class. Overlord King Tier class talent mythic, unique. 1. Mountain Sea Might. Strength growth rises with your level. Each level grants an additional 50 strength growth. At talent level 1, every talent level doubles strength growth. 2. Power Overwhelm. In combat, for every 100 points your strength exceeds an enemy's, damage taken from that enemy falls by 2. When your strength surpasses a target's by 5,000 points, all your attacks against them land guaranteed hits, and all damage you deal becomes true damage. 3. Unlock upon talent level up 4. Unlock upon talent level up 5. Unlock upon talent level up. The sound of the entire crowd drawing a collective breath echoed clearly. Even the city lord in the viewing stand was so shocked he knocked over his teacup, shouting out loud, Mythic Tier. It's the fabled mythic rank talent. Mountain Sea Might, Power Overwhelm. This is no ordinary class bearer. She is a walking weapon of destruction. At this moment, every gaze locked onto the petite young girl. She was heaven's chosen, humanity's hope, destined to stand atop the apex of power as a war goddess. Su Xiaoli paid no heed to the cheers of the crowd. She did not even glance at her exalted mythic class profession. She turned, trotted down the steps, and threw her arms around Lin Mo's arm to share her joy amid countless stunned stares. Lin Mo, wasn't I amazing? She tilted her head upward, lips pressed lightly together, barely holding back a wide smile. The jeers from the surrounding crowd turned thick with envy. Good grief, what incredible luck does this guy have? A real-life story. My childhood sweetheart turns out to be an unmatched powerhouse. 50 extra points of strength growth per level, and it doubles on advancement. Can you believe it? I'm terrified. I'll never dare speak loudly to Lin Mo ever again. Just then, Zhao Tai, monitor of the elite class, standing not far from Lin Mo, let out a cold snort. Before awakening, Lin Mo had reigned supreme over the school, and Zhao Tai had long harbored resentment toward him. Now he had awakened the rare Tier Thunder Swordsman, finally thinking he could overshadow Lin Mo. Yet Lin Mo's girlfriend being a mythic talent made all his hopes meaningless. Unable to accept this reversal, he spoke sourly. If I were a plain common tier warrior, I want to find a crack in the ground to hide in right now. Zhao Tai's words carried an obvious insinuation. Only true strong people deserve to stand beside other strong people. A talentless common warrior has nothing to offer someone with a mythic rank talent. Relying on your partner to gain standing? That's no way to live. His words triggered a wave of laughter. In past years, the students of the elite class had been outshone in every way by Lin Mo, a student from the commoner class. The principal had even labeled them the worst elite class in history. They had accumulated endless resentment toward Lin Mo. Now was their chance to vent it freely. Before Zhao Tai could finish speaking, a figure blurred past. Bang! A dull crash. Zhao Tai, who had stood tall and arrogant only a moment before, flew backward like a kite with a broken string. His body arced through the air before slamming heavily into the distant perimeter wall, embedding him within it. Cracks spiderwebbed across the stone, and dust billowed upward. Su Xiaoli, who had looked soft and innocent moments earlier, now stood where Zhao Tai had been. The innocence in her eyes vanished, replaced by a chilling ferocity. If anyone dares speak another word, I will crush their throat. Her voice remained soft, yet it sent shivers down every spine in the plaza. The laughter from the elite class died instantly. A pin drop could be heard across the venue. Everyone suddenly remembered that the girl beside Lin Mo would soon be recruited and intensively trained by the Alliance. Chaos erupted as teachers rushed to check Zhao Tai's injuries. Su Xiaoli was about to strike again. Lin Mo reached out and held back the furious young girl. Why stop me? The murderous aura radiating from Su Xiaoli vanished in an instant. She pouted, looking dejected. When he saw you before, he would shrink away. Now he's acting so arrogant. Don't waste energy on these fools. Lin Mo smiled faintly. A single remark struck a crowd of people. Those who had been mocking Lin Mo fell silent, overcome with stifling frustration. If not for Su Xiaoli standing beside him, they would have moved against Lin Mo on the spot. Rubble trickled down from the awakening plaza. Zhao Tai remained pinned against the fractured wall, his condition unknown. Silence hung over the crowd. No one dared meet the gaze of the petite girl standing at the front. Instead, they looked toward Lin Mo with complicated expressions. A young man raising his childhood companion, who possessed strength enough to shake mountains. That was the perfect way to describe Lin Mo and Su Xiaoli. Everyone knew they were orphans who had relied on each other since childhood. More often than not, Lin Mo acted like an elder brother to her. Whoosh! A violent gust of wind swept across the plaza. Clouds in the sky were torn apart by sheer force. A shadow griffin over 10 meters long folded its wings and crashed down like a meteor in the center of the square. Powerful wind pressure forced everyone to stagger backward. Two figures leaped down from the griffin's back. The woman walking ahead wore ice blue star-weave mage robes, with a striking platinum badge pinned to her chest. The Weiguang city lord trailed behind her like an attendant. A fifth advancement powerhouse. An envoy from the Alliance headquarters. The vice principal gasped, his legs giving way as he sank to his knees. The woman's name was Qinlan. She ignored everyone, her gaze locking onto Su Xiaoli like a searchlight. Mythic rank. A king's chosen class. When Qinlan saw the words king's chosen class, her eyes widened abruptly. Seal off the entire plaza. I am Qinlan, Special Commissioner of Alliance Headquarters. Su Xiaoli, Headquarters has activated the highest level protection directive for you. Come with me now. The students around gasped. Headquarters. Highest level protection. This meant starting today, Su Xiaoli would leave the commoner ranks far behind, ascending straight into the tiny group standing at humanity's peak. Here comes the drama. Several boys from the elite class exchanged glances, glints of schadenfreude in their eyes. They knew this trope well. Countless novels depicted this exact scene. Everyone understood that once she left with the Alliance, Su Xiaoli and Lin Mo would belong to entirely separate worlds. One was destined to shine like a star, the other trapped in the mire as a useless nobody. The higher powers would never allow a worthless person to hold back a mythic rank prodigy's progress. The next act would undoubtedly be the classic separation of lovers. Su Xiaoli did not move. She stepped back half a pace, hiding half her body behind Lin Mo, clutching the hem of his clothes tightly. I'm not going. Su Xiaoli lifted her chin, her gaze firm. I want to stay with Lin Mo. Wherever he goes, I go. Qinlan's brows furrowed. She shifted her gaze, looking directly at Lin Mo for the first time. Lin Mo, ordinary warrior, talent. Block reduces damage by 10 points each level. Surprise flashed across Qinlan's face, and her eyes widened. He is your boyfriend? The atmosphere in the plaza turned icy cold. It's over. This guy is in trouble. This useless burden will definitely be forced to separate from her. Let's watch how he gets humiliated. Qinlan stepped forward 2 paces. She stared at Lin Mo and reached into her storage ring. Everyone held their breath. The next moment, Qinlan pulled out a black and gold card and pressed it into Lin Mo's hand. What's this? Lin Mo glanced down. This is an Alliance black gold card. It holds a credit limit of 50 million Alliance coins. Holders enjoy premium benefits across all Alliance facilities. It will serve as your identity card from today onward. Qinlan lowered her voice, speaking quickly. A villa in the secure zone of Core City. Ownership paperwork can be finalized today. Lin Mo frowned in confusion. Why give me all of this? Not only Lin Mo, but every teacher and student stood dumbfounded. There was no demand to break off their relationship. Instead, she offered immense wealth and resources outright. No one could figure out what was unfolding. Qinlan looked equally confused, as if wondering why everyone reacted with such shock. Her records stated the two had grown up relying on each other and were each other's most important person. She had handed the benefits to the correct individual. Qinlan sighed and explained. This is the spousal and family benefit provided by the Alliance for core members. As the family of a mythic core member, receiving benefits from the Alliance is perfectly normal. It is no different from granting benefits to the parents of a mythic rank professional. She then raised an eyebrow. You all didn't expect me to force them apart, did you? Headquarters has countless high-ranking female battle warriors and mages, all single. Every single one sets impossibly high standards. Some are over 100 years old and have never even held a man's hand. The Deputy Alliance leader's hair has turned white, worrying about their mental well-being. She nodded towards Su Xiaoli, still hiding behind Lin Mo. This girl is a mythic talent. Once she advances to higher tiers, she will look down on everyone else. Having a partner already is an unexpected stroke of luck. Headquarters fully supports their relationship. What's more, their bond is protected by alliance law. Anyone attempting to separate them would be breaking the law. The plaza fell into dead silence. Seconds later, chaos erupted. Whoa, this is nothing like the novels. 50 million, plus a villa in Core City's secure zone. I want that too. A lifetime of comfort without lifting a finger. He's just a common tier warrior. What does he have to deserve this? I'm seething with envy. How can this guy have such incredible luck? Countless boys burned with jealousy. The young men of the elite class twisted with resentment, grinding their teeth. They had anticipated watching Lin Mo fall from grace. Instead, Alliance officials had handed everything to him on a silver platter. Lin Mo stared at the black gold card, fighting back laughter. Truly, reality differed greatly from mindless web novels. Forcing couples apart was a foolish move that earned endless hatred. Anyone with basic foresight would never attempt it. If you invested resources to nurture a prodigy, yet made an enemy of her, would you not fear retaliation once she grew powerful? The Alliance was not foolish. As for the crowd's reaction, they had clearly read too many low-quality fantasy novels. He turned and ruffled Su Xiaoli's hair. Xiaoli, go with Commissioner Qin. Lin Mo's tone was gentle. I won't. Su Xiaoli's eyes reddened, and she hugged Lin Mo's waist tightly. I don't care how many resources they offer. All I want is you. Listen to me. Lin Mo lifted her face and met her eyes directly. Your talent requires superior instructors and access to secret realms. If you stay in Weiguang City, you will never receive the best possible training. Lin Mo could only offer Su Xiaoli limited support. Only within the alliance could she gain the resources she needed. The world was far from peaceful. Only true personal strength could guarantee safety. That applied to Su Xiaoli as well. Though Lin Mo possessed his system, he could not guarantee he could protect her at every moment. Her own power was her greatest safeguard. But there is no need for worry, Qin Lan said softly. Core members of Su Xiaoli's standing hold the right to bring family members with them. You can reside in the premium family quarter within Core City. Not even a mosquito could reach you without permission. Su Xiaoli's eyes lit up. I decline. Lin Mo answered without hesitation. He knew of the premium family quarter. It was an isolated pocket dimension with no monsters at all, and entry and exit were heavily restricted. With his 100-million-fold experience system, that kind of life would be dreadfully dull. Relying on another's strength was fine for occasional comfort, but he had no desire to live that way forever. Lin Mo, I don't want to leave you. Su Xiaoli stared at him pitifully, looking as if she feared being abandoned. Don't worry. I will come find you at Alliance headquarters before long. Lin Mo wore a relaxed smile. Su Xiaoli stared steadily at Lin Mo. She knew better than anyone the pride deep within him. He had always stood at the top. He would never settle for living off someone else's strength. But he didn't possess outstanding talent. Could he truly pull it off? Soon enough, she chose to believe in Lin Mo. She had never once seen him fail to solve anything. Lin Mo was a miracle. He was her entire world. All right. Su Xiaoli sniffled and let go of her grip. When Qin Lan learned of their decision, her expression darkened instantly. All surrounding sounds vanished out of nowhere. A sound isolating artifact? Lin Mo turned toward Qin Lan, surprised. This is my skill, Qin Lan replied. Nothing spoken here will be heard by outsiders. Do you have something important to tell us, Envoy Qin? Lin Mo frowned. Do you know what the king's selection is? Both of them shook their heads. Qin Lan's gaze turned grave. The Alliance has blocked information about this region for now, but the secret cannot stay hidden forever. Occupation ranks usually correspond to talent grades, yet things are different for mythic tier talents. A king tier occupation never manifests alongside a mythic tier talent. It is far rarer and far more powerful. When both manifest within a single person, we call it the king's selection. Its power holds immense allure for countless people, especially the great aristocratic clans and massive consortiums. The last time someone bore both such talent and occupation was the Dragon Emperor, 500 years ago. Seeing Lin Mo and Su Xiaoli listening quietly, Qin Lan continued. In short, they will resort to every means possible to seize the power within Su Xiaoli. You mean Xiaoli will be in danger? Qin Lan said grimly. No, you will both be in danger. Consortium leaders wield enormous power, and aristocratic clans act without restraint. Their methods are nothing like those of the Alliance. You will understand what I mean once you cross paths with them. Lin Mo, you ought to leave this place together with Xiaoli. The core city can offer you complete protection. You will want for nothing, without needing to accomplish a single task. Lin Mo fell silent. Was he expected to live entirely relying on others? I'm sorry, but I cannot go. Lin Mo shook his head. From everything he could judge, stepping foot into the core city would mean losing his personal freedom. You may not have a choice. Qin Lan's expression turned icy. Frigid aura erupted outward from her body. The magical tide of a fifth-rank mage pressed down like an invisible mountain upon the stone slabs of the awakening square. Crack! The air thickened, as though they had plunged into deep ocean waters. It was absolute suppression of strength, a one-sided display of dominance by a high-rank professional over those of lower rank. This is not a negotiation. Qin Lan's ice-blue mage robe fluttered without wind, her voice cold as frost. If you stay here, you will only become Su Xiaoli's weakness. Coming with me is your only chance to survive. She raised her hand, pale blue binding runes flickering at her fingertips. It was clear she intended to capture him by force should Lin Mo refuse again. Don't you dare lay a hand on him. Su Xiaoli spread her arms, standing firmly in front of Lin Mo like a protective young tiger. A dim golden light had surfaced within her eyes. Her surging power sent spiderweb cracks spreading across the ground beneath her feet. Xiaoli, do you realize what you are doing? Qin Lan knitted her brows, a flicker of shock crossing her face. I only know you are trying to harm Lin Mo. Su Xiaoli stared unblinkingly at Qin Lan, her fists clenched tight until her knuckles whitened. I care nothing for clans or the alliance. Worst comes to worst, we can become drifters out in the wilds. At those words, Qin Lan's breath hitched. She drew a deep breath, crushed the binding runes at her fingertips, and forced her anger under control. Su Xiaoli, don't let your emotions cloud your judgment. Qin Lan's tone softened slightly. You cannot fathom how cruel the outside world is. Aristocratic clans view human lives as worthless, and they will employ every conceivable tactic against you too. He does not need to protect me. I will protect him. Su Xiaoli refused to budge an inch. You cannot even keep yourself safe. How can you protect him? Qin Lan's gaze moved past Su Xiaoli's shoulders to lock onto Lin Mo. Lin Mo, if you are a man, step forward and face reality. Letting the two of you walk straight into mortal peril out of foolish pride is not the conduct of a man. Su Xiaoli was about to speak, but Lin Mo cut her off. He gently patted her shoulder, resting his palm over her tightly clenched fist. It's fine. Let me talk to Envoy Qin. Lin Mo pulled Su Xiaoli behind him and stepped forward to face Qin Lan directly. Envoy Qin. Lin Mo's tone remained calm, as if he had not been the one weighed down by the pressure of a fifth-rank powerhouse moments earlier. Article 32 of the Alliance Code states that even the highest protection orders must respect the will of the individual. That rule only wavers if the target is confirmed incapable of independent judgment. I am a mentally competent adult citizen. Forcibly taking me away violates the law, does it not? Qin Lan let out a cold laugh. Extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures. When matters of this magnitude are at stake, the law can be set aside. The weak must understand their place. As Su Xiaoli's emotional anchor, you ought not to make such reckless decisions. Then what if I can prove I am not weak? A calm smile tugged at the corner of Lin Mo's mouth. Qin Lan looked at him as if he had just said something absurd. Prove it. With what? She dropped all pretenses and spoke with open scorn. Your pitiful basic growth potential? Or your block talent that will take ages to grant you a few extra points of damage resistance? Tomorrow marks Glimmer City's annual siege hunt. Lin Mo ignored her taunts and brought up a different subject. Qin Lan froze. The siege hunt was a large-scale monster purge held by Glimmer City to thin the growing hordes of low-rank monsters in the buffer zone. It also served as the first real combat assessment for all newly awakened senior students. Even with high-rank professionals standing guard, the casualty rate remained high every year. The siege hunt. Qin Lan narrowed her eyes and studied the young man before her again. You plan to participate? Not only participate. Lin Mo's voice was clear and steady. If I hunt monsters independently during this hunt and claim first place, earning admission to Tianfu University in the core city, will the Alliance drop the mandatory protection order and grant me freedom of movement, Envoy? First place. Qin Lan could not hold back her laughter. At least 100,000 participants from Glimmer City will join this assessment. You won't even crack the top 1,000, let alone claim first. If you truly take first place and earn entry to Tianfu University on your own merit, I will grant you whatever you ask for, not just freedom of movement. But I suggest you abandon this delusion. I will only ask once. Do you accept this wager? Lin Mo did not back down. Qin Lan fell silent for a moment. Forcing the pair to leave would breed immense resentment, conflicting with the alliance's goal of nurturing a mythic tier genius. If he insisted on seeking his own ruin, she could afford to wait a few days. Let the boy taste hardship out in the wilds, witness real bloodshed, and he would realize how naive his thoughts were. Once the monster's claws shattered his overconfidence, she would step in to save him. With his pride broken, he would obediently head to the core city to live under protection. Very well, I accept. A sharp glint flashed in Qinlan's eyes. If you can secure a top 10 ranking solely through your own strength, without aid from anyone, during the siege hunt, I will personally revoke the restrictions on your freedom. Furthermore, you may make one additional request of me, whatever it may be. But if you lose, Qinlan paused, you will go quietly to the protected zone in the core city and take on supporting duties for Xiaoli from then on. It's a deal. Lin Mo smiled, agreeing without hesitation. Screech. A piercing cry cut through the sky. Winds roared once more as a 15-meter wingspan blue-scaled wyvern tore through the clouds and crashed onto the edge of the square. Its massive talons carved deep grooves into the stone pavement, sending stone fragments flying. A middle-aged man clad in silver leather armor leaped down from the wyvern's back. He wore a platinum badge on his chest, marked with crossed twin swords. His hawk-like gaze swept across the crowd before settling on Qinlan, and he strode forward quickly. Team Leader Qin, my communicator picked up your emergency coordinate signal. Has something gone wrong? The man's voice was deep and rough, carrying the scent of one who walked constantly on the brink of death. Qinlan wasted no words and pointed straight at Su Xiaoli, her tone unprecedentedly heavy. Chen Rue, lead your team personally. Activate S-rank escort protocols immediately and transport her back to headquarters. Chen Rue's pupils shrank sharply. He suppressed his shock and offered a formal alliance military salute. Understood. I will arrange the highest-grade airship at once. I have to go now. It was the first time she had been separated from Lin Mo since childhood. The young girl's eyes reddened, tears welling up. Yet she stubbornly refused to let them fall. Xiaoli. Lin Mo spoke softly. Go ahead. I will join you soon. He would go to the core city eventually, but never as someone confined within a sheltered domain. A flicker of undisguised disdain crossed Qinlan's eyes. At least the boy possessed some self-awareness. Promise me. Come find me quickly. Take her away. Qinlan waved her hand. Su Xiaoli kept glancing back as she followed Chen Rue onto the wyvern. With powerful beats of its wings, the wyvern soared upward and soon shrank to a speck on the horizon. Only once Su Xiaoli's aura faded completely did Qinlan turn around and dismiss the sound barrier. Her gaze swept over the students and teachers still whispering among themselves. City Lord. Qinlan barked. The Lord of Glimmer City hurried over, sweating profusely as if answering a royal command. What are your orders, envoy? Seal all information. Everyone present must sign the highest-tier alliance non-disclosure agreement. Anyone who leaks even a single word regarding Su Xiaoli's occupation will be charged with treason. Yes. Immediately, wiping sweat from his brow, the city lord ordered the city garrison to clear the square at once. Qinlan then turned back to Lin Mo. She pointed into the air, and a magic shimmering teleport scroll materialized in her grasp. Let us depart. Our wager begins now. Her voice remained icy. I will personally escort you to the hunt camp. Remember this. If you fail, you will accept the role you are meant to fill. Light flashed, and both figures vanished from the square. 30 kilometers outside Glimmer City lay Blackspire Hunt Camp. This was the frontline fortress of the city garrison defending the monster buffer zone, and the site of every senior student's combat assessment. Tall, refined steel walls bore dark brown dried bloodstains, and the air reeked of smoke mixed with rotting flesh. Qinlan arranged Lin Mo in a temporary single dormitory before leaving. Deep into the night, Lin Mo sat on the hard wooden bed, listening to occasional monster howls drifting through the window. A faint smile tugged at his lips. In his mind, he opened the pale golden status panel. Lin Mo, level 0, talent, block LV.10/10. Reduces all incoming damage by 10 points whenever you take damage. Talent effect increases by 10 points for each level gained. HP, 100, mana, 100. Strength, 10, Constitution, 10, Spirit, 10, Speed, 10. Current experience multiplier, 10,000x. Multiplier increases by 1,000 for every level gained. Was the block talent worthless? It did not matter. If he leveled up fast enough, it would become an overpowered divine skill. Time to test just how powerful my ability is. Don't let me down. 10,000 times experience gain. Let me see your limits. Lin Mo picked up a blade and sliced it across the back of his hand. No cut appeared, as though he had struck tough rhinoceros hide. 0. Block activated. Damage reduced by 3 block talent EXP plus 10,000. Ding. Block talent rises to LV.2 ding. Block talent rises to LV.3 ding. Block talent rises to LV.4. Sections omitted a single slash pushed his block talent straight to LV.12. His power worked even better than Lin Mo had anticipated. Talent experience was notoriously difficult to obtain. For anyone else attempting this method, they might dull their blade and gain not a single point of experience. But his ability locked the minimum experience gained from any trigger to 1 point. That was how one light cut earned him 10,000 experience points. Realizing how overpowered his power was, Lin Mo struggled to contain his grin. Holding back laughter was surprisingly difficult. If he did not fear being labeled insane by nearby residents, he would have laughed aloud. 1 slash granted 10,000 experience points. How high could he level if he continued all night? Early the next morning, the Great Hall of Blackspire Hunt Camp buzzed with activity. Thousands of awakened senior students from all schools across Glimmer City had assembled. They clustered in groups, clad in newly purchased low-grade gear provided by their families. They were chatting nervously and excitedly about the upcoming assessment. In the world of occupation bearers, venturing out without a team was a death sentence. Cooperation and dividing roles to maximize each person's strengths were essential to surviving the wilds. This was common knowledge. Lin Mo walked into the hall wearing the plain gray uniform issued by the school, unarmed. He glanced at the talent level displayed on his panel and smiled faintly. Block LV.563 reduces all incoming damage by 5630 points whenever you take damage. Talent effect increases by 10 points for each level gained. This was the fruit of his entire night's efforts. Every stat had been earned through his hard work. He deserved every bit of it. The chatter filling the hall fell silent for a heartbeat. Though everyone present had signed non-disclosure agreements regarding the events at the square the previous day, word had spread among the student body. Lin Mo had awakened as a common warrior with mediocre potential, and Su Xiaoli had been taken away by important figures. The brief silence broke into suppressed snickers and murmurs. Look, that's the guy who ranked first in mental power 3 years running. I heard he awakened as a common warrior. It really is him. Is he planning to join the siege hunt? How tragic. No one is willing to team up with him. Suddenly, the crowd parted to clear a path. At the end of the aisle stood a young man with a bandage wrapped around his forehead, his face still pale. He blocked Lin Mo's way. It was Zhao Tai, top student of the elite class, the one Su Xiaoli had slammed into the wall the previous day. High-ranked priests had healed his wounds, saving his life, yet hatred lingered thick in his eyes. He possessed the rare occupation, Thunder Swordsman. He wore polished fine plate armor, and an electric crackling sword hung at his waist. 4 fully equipped companions stood behind him, forming a standard 5-man elite squad. I truly admire your courage, Lin Mo. Zhao Tai wore a mocking sneer and raised his voice deliberately. You had that woman shielding you yesterday. Who will protect you today? You don't honestly think anyone here will tolerate you, do you? Lin Mo let out a scoff. He had never bothered wasting words on clowns. This dismissive attitude made Zhao Tai feel as though he had punched a pile of cotton, stoking his rage. For 3 years of high school, Lin Mo had looked at him with that exact expression. Now that Lin Mo had awakened to a mediocre warrior, what right did he have to carry such arrogance? Stop pretending. Zhao Tai stepped forward sharply, hand resting on his sword hilt, his gaze icy. Without that woman at your side, you might not even beat wild beasts. Beg us nicely, and we might offer you some help. Am I right, everyone? Exactly. Haha. Put on airs now, and you'll end up begging out in the wild. The surrounding students quickly joined in jeering. Lin Mo rolled his eyes. He had a unique power, so why shouldn't he carry himself with confidence? If they possessed such power, they would act far more arrogant than he did. What I can or cannot accomplish has nothing to do with any of you. Are your family trees missing your names, that you feel the need to seek attention by blocking my path? Or were your ancestors buried beside public waste grounds, explaining your constant stream of rude remarks? A bunch of shallow troublemakers. He chose to speak his mind freely. When others provoked you, you ought to respond. There was no sense standing silently and enduring unfair taunts. He would answer every person who chose to target him. Enough of your insolence, Lin Mo. All laughter died away, and the onlookers grew furious. On the observation platform on the 2nd floor of the hall, Qinlan folded her arms, looking down at the arguing crowd from above. Envoy, should I step in to stop this? Camp Commander Zhang, a scar-faced man, asked quietly. Lan watched Lin Mo trading barbs with the crowd, the corner of her mouth twitching slightly. Go intervene before they start fighting in here. Boom, boom, boom. Heavy war drums reverberated throughout the camp. The half-meter-thick steel gate screeched with the friction of machinery as it slowly slid open to both sides. A cold robotic voice blared over the camp speakers. The siege hunt commences. All personnel, proceed to the buffer zone. The true hunt had begun. Zhao Tai, who had lost the argument, shouted indignantly. Winning with nothing but glib words doesn't make you a hero. Let's settle this fairly on the hunting grounds. Yeah, fight it out on the hunting grounds. Several of his lackeys echoed in unison. Lin Mo was utterly speechless. What a bunch of idiots. He picked up an iron sword issued by the camp, picked a direction, and set off alone. As he walked, he slung the sword over his shoulder and dragged it back and forth against his neck. Block talent EXP plus 10,000. Block talent EXP plus 10,000. The floating EXP notifications kept popping up, yet Lin Mo paid them no mind, long since accustomed to the sight. The reason he dragged the sword against his neck was simple. It was a comfortable way to walk, unobstructed and perfect for farming experience. High above, Lan rode a griffin, trailing him from afar. An hour passed. The scenery before Lin Mo's eyes shifted. The bluestone paths underfoot vanished entirely. They were replaced by cracked, black and scorched earth. A faint stench of rot hung in the air. Withered yellow vegetation twisted its gnarled branches upward toward the murky gray sky. A rusted iron sign stood ahead. Unregulated zone. Habitat of level 1 to 5 monsters. Danger level, low. Lin Mo halted and lifted the iron sword he had been dragging against his neck. He shook out his aching arms and glanced at the translucent status panel hovering in his vision. Block level 591. All incoming damage is reduced by 59 10 points upon taking damage. Higher levels demand more EXP. I only gained nearly 28 levels in an hour. I need to boost my efficiency. Lin Mo stretched his limbs and swept his gaze across the rolling barren hills ahead. Beyond the buffer zone, wild monsters could appear at any moment. If he killed just one, his level would skyrocket instantly. His experience multiplier would surge at an astonishing rate as well. Meanwhile, far up in the sky, Lan sat atop a shadow griffin, icy winds whipping her ice-blue mage robe. She held a high magnification tactical binoculars, its lens locking firmly onto Lin Mo's movements. Captain, Su Xiaoli has arrived safely at Tianfu Base in Core City. Chen Rui's hoarse voice crackled through her communicator. Understood. Tell her I'm watching over Lin Mo personally. He's in no danger. You're truly foresight, Captain. How did you know Su Xiaoli keeps asking about Lin Mo? Lan replied flatly. Because I'm not oblivious. My bad. I spoke without thinking. Ever since leaving camp, he's been clutching that shoddy-issued iron sword, dragging it back and forth against his neck this entire time. Lan could not help but complain. 1 full hour, and he hasn't even scraped his skin. Silence stretched for 5 long seconds on the other end of the line. Is he farming talent experience? Chen Rui asked in a baffled tone. How much experience could he possibly gain this way? Lan set down the binoculars and scoffed. Would he earn even a single talent point grinding like this for an entire month? Captain, when do you plan to bring him back? That girl is hard to calm down. She needs to see Lin Mo alive with her own eyes. What's the rush? Lan stared down at the slender figure below. Let him learn a tough lesson. Then he'll abandon this reckless habit of dancing on the edge of death. A logistics post is a stable path. Plenty of people would leap at that opportunity. All right, just be careful not to let him get grievously injured. The communication cut off. Lan raised the binoculars once more. In her view, Lin Mo had crossed the iron sign. Rustle, the waist-high dry grass on his right shook violently. Lin Mo froze and turned his head. A low growl rumbled from deep within the brush. Then a wolf over 1.5 meters long stepped out. Its body covered in coarse black fur. Its eyes glowed crimson, and fetid saliva dripped from its jaws. Corrupted wasteland wolf, level 3 strength, 45 constitution, 20 agility, 20 spirit, 5 HP, 200 200s. It had set its sights on Lin Mo. By its instinct, this human possessed weaker power. Though small, he would suffice as a meal. Lin Mo did not retreat. He did not even adjust his grip on the sword. Come on. Lin Mo crooked a finger at the wolf. A whoop. The wasteland wolf pushed off with its hind legs. A black streak cut through the air amid a gust of putrid wind. Its fangs aimed straight for Lin Mo's throat. Up above on the griffin, Lan's expression darkened. What is that fool doing? Why not block with his sword? Why dodge nothing? Faced with a charge from a level 3 monster, A plain level 1 warrior stood stock still. This was suicide. Qinlan clutched an item, paired with a teleportation marker she had placed on Lin Mo. If she activated it, Lin Mo would instantly teleport to her side. She wanted him to suffer a setback, but if something fatal happened, she would never be able to explain to Su Xiaoli. Right before she triggered the item, Lin Mo thrust his hand straight into the wolf's gaping maw. A woo, the wolf whimpered in agony. No gushing blood, no sickening crunch of broken bone. Instead came a dull, heavy crack, as if it had bitten down on a solid steel ingot. A pale gray number floated slowly above Lin Mo's head. 40 damage received. 5,910 damage blocked. The wasteland wolf released its grip and stumbled backward in pain. Human-like confusion flickered in its eyes. Most of its sharp fangs had shattered, as though it had sunk its teeth into a high-rank boss's armored hide. Its attack power stood at 45 points. Lin Mo's block negated 5,910 damage. It was akin to smashing a tofu block against a mountain. The gap was insurmountable. I don't feel a thing. Lin Mo twisted his neck and looked down at the wolf. Little guy, how does my hand taste? Lin Mo's base strength was 10 points. With the iron sword's bonus 5 attack, his total attack reached 15. Swish. He swung the sword down, crude and driven purely by brute force. The iron blade crashed onto the wolf's spine. 5. Defense equals half of constitution, so the wolf's defense was 10. 15 minus 10 equaled exactly 5 damage. A shallow cut appeared on the wolf's fur. Its HP bar barely shifted. Yet this trivial injury ignited the monster's bloodlust completely. It lunged madly at Lin Mo, slashing with claws and snapping its jaws. Bang! 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 000 strings of 0 damage values drifted over Lin Mo's head like scrolling bullet comets. He stood unmoving like an eternal reef amid a raging storm. Lin Mo swung his sword impassively. 5. It was an utterly one-sided attrition battle. The claws and fangs the wolf prided itself on could not even tear Lin Mo's clothes. Lin Mo's slow, steady strikes slowly drained its life away, a drawn-out torment. High up in the sky, Qinlan still gripped her magic item, frozen stiff. The binoculars nearly slipped from her grasp. This cannot be possible. Qinlan's eyes widened. What was she seeing? A common warrior standing still and tanking attacks from a level 3 monster without taking any damage? Even if his talent was block, a low-level talent could only negate around 10 damage at most. The wolf's attack was a solid 45 points. Where had the remaining damage gone? Equipment? Impossible. He wears only rough camp-issued cloth robes with 0 defensive stats. Potions? He hasn't consumed any potions at all. What on earth is going on? Qinlan drowned in confusion, questioning all the professional knowledge she had learned over the years. Before she could untangle her thoughts, the battle below reached its end. Lin Mo seized an opening and drove the sword precisely into the wolf's eye. 30. Vital strike. The wasteland wolf's body stiffened. It twitched twice before dissolving into motes of light in unwilling defeat. A gray wolf pelt lay on the ground. Killed corrupted wasteland wolf level 3. EXP gained, 20 points. The moment the notification echoed in Lin Mo's mind, the pale gold status panel in his vision blazed brightly. Current EXP multiplier detected, 10,000x. Actual EXP obtained, 200,000 points. A condensed, brilliant golden light surged from beneath Lin Mo's feet, wrapping around his body like liquid mercury. At that instant, surging, unimaginable warmth flooded every limb. Every cell thrilled, every meridian widened. Ding. Level up to level 1. Ding. Level up to level 2. Ding. Level up to level 3. Ding. Level up to level 16. Ding. Level up to level 17. The golden light came and went in mere seconds. Lin Mo stood where he was and slowly exhaled. He sensed the volcanic surge of power within him, and a grin spread across his face. 1 level 3 monster slain. He had jumped straight from level 0 to level 17. Moreover, as his level rose, his EXP multiplier snowballed from 10,000x to 27,000x. That meant his next kill would grant him 27,000 times the base experience. This ability, it's ridiculously overpowered. Anyone would struggle to contain their excitement. Level 17. Lin Mo gained 5 base attribute points per level. Every level automatically raised all attributes by 5, plus an additional 5 free attribute points to allocate. HP equaled Constitution multiplied by 10, Mana equaled Spirit multiplied by 10. His attribute growth paled beside mythic classes, but his leveling speed was unmatched. Lin Mo dumped all free attribute points into strength. Lin Mo talents. Block LV.591. Reduce all incoming damage by 5,910 points when taking damage. Each talent level increases block effect by 10 points. HP, 950. Mana, 950. Strength, 180. Constitution, 95. Spirit, 95. Agility, 95. Current EXP multiplier, 27,000x. Even without his iron sword, he could crush the wolf from earlier with a single punch relying purely on his stats. Silence hung heavy in the sky. Qinlan lowered her binoculars and rubbed her eyes hard. She must have misseen. The binoculars had to be faulty. No one gained 17 levels from killing a single monster. That defied all logic. Yes, it had to be an optical illusion. The sight would return to normal when she looked again. She took a deep breath, lifted the binoculars, and aimed at Lin Mo once more. Her jaw fell open the next second. What just happened? He really only killed one monster, right? Qinlan wiped her cheek and stared fixedly at Lin Mo far below. Ordinary hunters level up step by step. Top prodigies level faster by fighting monsters above their rank. But this man had unleashed 17 successive level-up golden lights after slaying just one beast? Was this reasonable? Did this comply with the laws governing awakened professionals? Records stored in Alliance headquarters stated the fastest leveling mythic class professional fought non-stop for an entire day within a top-tier EXP dungeon. They only reached level 5. Lin Mo had slain a wolf in roughly 1 minute. Is this person using some sort of cheat? Qinlan felt her mind grow numb. Could there be some new leveling method she, an old-timer, knew nothing about? Had the world changed so drastically in just a few years? She recalled Lin Mo's calm smile earlier, as if everything unfolded exactly as he planned. No, impossible. Even if he leveled fast, he might not claim first place. As Qinlan clung to this reassurance, Lin Mo suddenly tilted his head upward and shot a meaningful grin toward the sky. He dares to taunt me? Qinlan's mouth twitched. Lin Mo wasted no more time. He gripped his battered iron sword and marched deeper into monster territory. At level 17, killing low-level monsters would yield diminished experience. He needed foes at least his level to keep advancing. Shunrue. Qinlan activated her communicator. What's up, Captain? Did you bring that boy back? Pull every file the Glimmer City database has on Lin Mo. All of it. Every detail from childhood onward. Dig up everything. Got it. I'll start immediately. Lin Mo did not venture deeper right away. He opened his status panel. Upon reaching level 17, his skill bar glowed faintly. His first skill had unlocked. Notably, skills in this world were learned automatically upon leveling. Skill books were not scattered everywhere. That was why class rank carried such immense importance. Powerful classes naturally unlocked far stronger skills. A small number of rare items could grant new skills, yet such treasures were incredibly hard to come by. Lin Mo opened the panel and saw the brand new skill resting there. Parry LV.1. Parry incoming physical attacks with your weapon within 0.5 seconds. Reduce damage taken by 20 and reflect 5 physical damage. A perfect parry may stun the target. Each level increases damage reduction by 1 and reflected damage by 0.5. Cooldown, 2 seconds. Mana cost, 30. If he had advanced to a Flame Warrior or Thunder Warrior, he might unlock flashy moves like Flame Slash or Thunder Cleave. Unfortunately, he was merely a plain common warrior. Still, it was more than enough. Talents required class advancement to evolve, but skills could undergo their first evolution upon reaching level 100. Evolution brought fundamental transformation. If he remembered his textbooks correctly, parry would undergo a massive shift at level 100. It would evolve from blocking only physical attacks to intercepting all elemental damage. Reflected damage would convert into true damage. Just imagine the potential. If parry's damage reduction hit 100%, he would gain a 2-second invincibility window every cooldown. Anyone who fought melee combatants knew how oppressive such an ability could be. What drew Lin Mo's attention most was the reflect effect. Once the skill level grew high enough, striking him would mean receiving thousands of % of your attack as reflected true damage. The thought made it impossible to hold back his smile. Pushing his thoughts aside, Lin Mo crossed the dried riverbed. On the opposite bank stood a tattered red warning sign. High-risk zone. Territory of level 15 to 20 monsters. Strictly off-limits to new recruits. High above the sky, Qinlan's expression turned sharp instantly. He's lost his mind? Hunting high-level monsters earns more points, yet the risk far outweighs any reward. Monsters level 15 and above possessed exponentially rising stats, fierce territorial instincts, and unbridled bloodlust. Even elite professionals of equal level fully equipped, could only fight them to a stalemate. He was a common-class warrior. Even at level 17, without proper gear, his combat capacity was limited. Reckless fool. Does he truly believe reaching level 17 makes him invincible? Qinlan snorted, yet a teasing smirk tugged at her lips. This works out. Let him taste defeat, and I can bring him back. The moment Lin Mo faced mortal danger, she would activate the teleport. She would save his life and crush his inflated arrogance in the process. Down below, on the river's far bank, the scent of blood thickened abruptly. The scorched earth took on a dark crimson hue, and silence fell so complete, not even wind could be heard. Thud, thud. Heavy footsteps echoed from the dry forest ahead. The ground trembled faintly. Lin Mo halted and lifted his gaze. A colossal beast nearly 3 meters tall crashed through dead trees and stepped into view. It was a giant bear with fur stiff like steel needles standing on end, crimson eyes, and scraps of flesh clinging to its massive paws. Berserk Blood Bear Elite. Level 17, Strength 350, Constitution 200, Agility 180, Spirit 200, HP 3500/3500 Skills, Frenzied Bite, Shockwave Smash. Lin Mo scanned the stats floating in his vision and felt underwhelmed. A level 17 monster, and this is all you've got? The blood bear looked down at the human barely reaching its waist, brutality blazing in its crimson eyes. It lunged forward without warning. Boom. The bear's powerful hind legs shattered bedrock. Its enormous body charged like an out-of-control heavy armored vehicle, bearing down on Lin Mo with suffocating pressure. It moved terrifyingly fast. The 10-meter gap closed in an instant. It raised a grinding stone-sized right paw. Claws sliced the air with a shrill whistle, swinging down toward Lin Mo's head. Mid-air, Qinlan gripped her teleport rune tightly. With his level 17 HP, he can only take 3 hits at most. If he gets struck twice, I'll teleport him back immediately. The blood bear's assault was ferocious. Those lacking steady resolve might freeze up entirely from terror. Yet Lin Mare had no intention of dodging. Raging Bear Strength, 350. His block talent negated 5,910 points of all incoming damage. Even if he stood perfectly still, this bear could not break through his defenses. But that would be far too dull. Time to test out my new skill. Lin Mare drew a deep breath, tightening his grip on the iron sword, his gaze sharp as flint. Observe movements. Predict trajectories. The instant the bear's paw came within half a meter of his head, Lin Mare sank his hips. The iron sword swept upward, settling horizontally firmly before his body. Parry. Clang. A visible ring of white shockwave burst outward centered on the man and the bear, sweeping across the surroundings. Withered grass within a 10-meter radius rustled violently from the blast. Then came a crisp cracking sound. Crack. All that remained in Lin Mare's grasp was a broken sword. This level 17 elite monster was forced to stagger one step backward. Ugh, what shoddy scrap metal does the camp hand out? Lin Mare muttered in exasperation. The pale golden panel hovering in his vision flickered non-stop as his parry skill level shifted. Parry successful. Gain 1 parry experience point. Current experience multiplier, 27,000x. Actual skill experience gained, 27,000 points. 27,000 experience points. Ding. Parry elevated to level 2. Ding. Parry elevated to level 3. Ding. Parry elevated to level 4. Ding. Level increased to 15. Level 15 parry. Use a weapon to parry enemy physical strikes, reducing physical damage taken by 34 and reflecting 12 of incoming physical damage. Lin Mare's eyes widened. Just one successful parry pushed the skill all the way to level 15? Old Jin's ability that locked base experience gained to a minimum of 1 point had activated again. For anyone else, dozens upon dozens of perfect parries might barely net a single experience point. But for him, triggering the skill effect guaranteed at least 1 point. And that single point would then be multiplied 27,000 times by Old Jin's power. It was overwhelmingly powerful. Hard work truly never betrays you. Every drop of sweat shed in the past would return 100-fold. The raging bear recovered from the shock and roared, shaking dead leaves across the ground. The broken sword fragment clattered to the dirt. Lin Mare tossed the remaining half of his blade aside. High above, Qinlan clenched her fists. Now that he had lost his weapon, surely he would call for help. Down below, after a brief moment of stiffness, the raging bear flew into a berserk rage. This insignificant ant had dared resist it. Its eyes blazed crimson, muscles swelling beneath its fur. It unleashed its skill-frenzied maul. A cavernous maw lunged straight for him. Lin Mare balled his fist and thrust it directly into the bear's open jaws. He was reusing the same tactic. If his broken sword made parry impossible, he would fight without relying on a weapon. From Qinlan's vantage point high in the sky, again, she gasped in disbelief. Does he intend to lose his hand? Her mind raced rapidly. Even so, a raging bear of the same level cannot kill him instantly. A mangled hand can be healed. Qinlan quickly calculated potential damage, clutching an emergency item in her palm. No matter what happened, she was confident she could pull Lin Mare back from the brink. As long as he still drew breath, he could be saved. On the ground, roar! The raging bear wailed in agony, spitting out shattered teeth. A faint damage number floated above Lin Mare's head. 0. That was the beauty of his blockability. Just like champions holding their ground against endless assaults, Lin Mare could take this bite without fear. Even the ultimate skill of a monster of this level could only deal 700 to 800 damage at most. Against his absurd block value, it could not even force a scratch of damage. Lin Mare pulled his right arm back sharply, veins bulging beneath his skin. He unleashed a straight punch with full force. A dull sonic boom rippled through the air. His fist crashed solidly into the bear's soft abdomen. 80. The raging bear possessed 100 defense. With 180 strength, Lin Mare's punch dealt exactly 80 damage. It was not weak damage by any measure, yet it amounted to little more than slow whittling. But it was enough. Today, he would wear down this elite monster using nothing but his bare fists. 80. Another punch landed. The raging bear's head snapped backward, its massive body stumbling one step away. Lin Mare pressed forward instantly, his left fist slamming heavily into its chest. Bang. 80. This punch is for your hideous face. Bang. 80. This punch is for your foul breath. Bang. 80. Within the silent, withered forest, only the monotonous yet unsettling thud of impacts echoed on repeat. At first, the raging bear countered ferociously, biting and charging, desperate to crush this pesky human into pulp. But every attack landing against Lin Mare yielded that hopeless, 0 floating number. Gradually, the bear's movement slowed. Its counterattacks devolved into feeble struggles. Its roars turned to whimpers. Eventually, it abandoned resistance entirely. Its giant body curled into a ball, clutching its head as it rolled across the ground, trying to evade the relentless rain of fists. This was blatant bullying of a bear. Who exactly was the monster here? High up in the sky, atop the griffin, Qinlan sat frozen, utterly stunned. Countless possibilities raced through her mind. A high-tier shield scroll? A hidden defensive artifact? Or some unheard of mutated talent? Yet none of these explanations could make sense of the absurd scene unfolding before her eyes. A level 17 ordinary warrior, unarmed, treating an elite monster of equivalent level as a punching bag? This defies all logic. It absolutely defies logic, Qinlan muttered to herself, watching decades of accumulated knowledge as a professional adventurer crumble bit by bit. Down below, the battle neared its end. The raging bear's health bar was nearly empty. It lay weakly on the dirt, lacking even the strength to lift its eyelids. Lin Mare stood before it, shaking his aching fists and exhaling deeply. Over 40 punches. This really takes stamina. Lin Mare lifted his right foot and stomped down sharply onto the bear's skull. Crack! Amid the dull sound of splintering bone, one final 80 drifted upward. The giant frame twitched once, then dissolved into countless motes of light and vanished. Slain level 17 elite, bloodthirsty raging bear. Base experience earned, 2,500 points. Finally done. Lin Mare grinned. 2 streaks of light shimmered where the bear's body had dissipated. A bear hide, and a gigantic 2-handed battle axe, deep red with faint blue luminescence wrapping its surface. Axe of the Berserker Fine/Blue Gear, level requirement. 15, strength, plus 80, special effect, sturdy. A blue drop. Lin Mare's eyes lit up. He grabbed the battle axe, feeling its satisfying weight. Simple, brutal stats paired with the sturdy effect. He would no longer need to worry about his weapon breaking easily. Perfect timing. What excited him far more, however, was the impending experience calculation. Detected current experience multiplier, 27,000x. Actual experience gained, 67,500,000 points. 67.5 million experience points. This terrifying number surged forth as a gentle, yet overwhelming stream of data that washed through every inch of his body. A flood of notifications rolled rapidly across his vision. Ding. Level increased to 18. Ding. Level increased to 19. Ding. Level increased to 20. Lin Mare closed his eyes, feeling the overwhelming power threatening to burst out from within him. Cells divided and restructured at a frantic pace. His bones emitted thunderous creaks, and mana surged through his meridians like a breached flood. Ding. Level increased to 25. Ding. Level increased to 28. Ding. Level increased to 30. You have reached the threshold for first-class advancement. You must complete your class transfer quest to continue leveling. All excess experience will be lost otherwise. The flood of data faded quickly. Linmare stood still and slowly opened his eyes. His plain linen tunic rippled softly. A faint jade glow flowed beneath his skin, and a palpable, intimidating pressure lingered deep within his gaze. Level 30. By slaying a single elite monster, he had skipped more than a dozen levels straight to the threshold of first-class advancement. He gripped the axe of the berserker and swung it casually through the air. Whoosh! The heavy blade cut through the wind with a sharp sonic crack. Combined with newly gained free attribute points and the axe's bonuses, his strength had now soared to an astonishing 390 points. Already level 30? Linmare glanced at the excess millions of experience points on his panel and shook his head helplessly. It all happened far too quickly, just like fleeting youth. Anyone overhearing that line might choke in rage. Ordinary people spent 3 years or longer fighting on the brink of death, and many still failed to touch the level 30 threshold. Meanwhile, he had hit this milestone in less than half a day after venturing out. The aura of a level 30 adventurer spread outward. Most surrounding monsters were below level 20. Sensing the powerful aura, they fled in every direction. Up in the sky, Qinlan sat motionless on the griffin's saddle, stunned, oblivious to saliva slipping from the corner of her mouth. Again, this can't be an illusion, it has to be an illusion. Qinlan pinched her thigh hard. The sharp pain confirmed she was wide awake. She took a shaky breath and fumbled to activate her communicator. Chunrui? Chunrui, can you hear me? Qinlan's voice was unusually urgent, almost cracking. Team lead, I read you. What's wrong? Did something happen to that young man? Chunrui's steady tone came through the device. I told you. The zone for levels 1 to 5 is far too dangerous for a plain warrior like him. Bring him back quickly. I can barely hold Su Xiaoli in check. Quiet. Qinlan cut him off abruptly. She stared fixedly down at Linmare, swallowed hard, and asked hoarsely, Chunrui, answer me this. With more than a decade of frontline experience, do you think, is it possible for someone who awakened less than a day ago, a level 0 plain warrior, with no high-level allies power leveling him and no experience scrolls, to kill merely 2 monsters on his own? Qinlan paused, finding her own words absurd even as she spoke. And jumped straight to level 30? Silence stretched heavy on the other end of the communication channel. After a full 10 seconds, Chunrui's faintly mocking voice came through. Team lead, have you been exposed to too much wind up there and lost your senses? Level 30, within a single day? Even if Su Xiaoli, bearer of a mythic class, went solo hunting, she would struggle to hit level 10 in one day. I'll write my name backward if she manages it. Level 30? Completely impossible. Unless the world collapses and the system glitches. Chunrui declared firmly. What if I saw it with my own eyes? Qinlan's voice drifted quietly. Then your eyes are tricking you, team lead. I suggest you visit Priest Shi at headquarters for a checkup. I'll book the appointment for you. Chunrui retorted bluntly. Qinlan silently terminated the communication. She looked down at Linmare, who was examining his system panel, and let out a bitter laugh. Yes, it was impossible. If she had not witnessed it firsthand, no one would believe such a defiantly unnatural being existed. What secrets is this young man hiding? Qinlan's perspective shifted entirely. Her initial dismissal and disdain melted away into overwhelming shock and intense curiosity. A block talent capable of ignoring elite monster attacks. A horrifying leveling speed that sent him straight to level 30 in an instant. No ordinary plain warrior could possess such abilities. As Qinlan sank into her thoughts, Linmare suddenly lifted his head and looked toward the griffin high above. A faint smirk tugged at his lips as he raised the axe of the berserker and waved it toward the sky. That's the second time you've provoked me. Qinlan's expression darkened. Outside Black Peak Camp, within the level 1 to 5 monster buffer zone, by the edge of a fetid mire, tension hung thick in the air. Zhao Tai stared intently at the gasping level 3 corrupted wild wolf 5 meters ahead. The bandage wrapped around his forehead was soaked with sweat, and his sword-wielding knuckles whitened from tension. Wang Meng, hold the front. Don't let it pounce. Zhao Tai gritted his teeth and roared, stepping half a pace backward. Li Yuan, cast your shield on me. Chen Song, ready your fireball to block its movement. This was their third battle since entering the buffer zone, and by far the most dangerous. A level 3 corrupted wild wolf. Before this, the 5 of them had worked as a team to slowly wear down 2 level 1 rot rats. But facing this highly agile, ferocious wolf, their party had nearly broken apart. Roar! The wild wolf pushed off with its hind legs, charging forward carrying a wave of stinking wind toward Wang Ming, the shield bearer at the front. Wang Ming paled, bracing his half-plate shield firmly. His feet carved 2 deep grooves through the muddy ground. Hold on, Wang Ming. We cannot give up. For our future. Boom. A heavy collision echoed. Wang Ming let out a muffled groan, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. And at 22, floated above his head. His health bar dropped sharply, and the shield warped severely from the impact. It stunned. Chen Tsung, fire. Zhao Tai's eyes lit up, catching this fleeting opening. A human-sized fireball streaked forward and slammed into the wolf's back. Boom. Flames burst outward. The wild wolf howled in agony, a large patch of fur charred black, and its movements visibly slowed. Now was the chance. Magma surged through the meridians of his rare class, Thunder Swordsman. Crackling blue lightning wrapped around his refined longsword. Zhao Tai shouted at the top of his lungs. A level 3 monster means nothing to us. We are no pushovers. Take this, our combined strike. Thunder lunge. He pushed off his legs, launching forward like an arrow loosed from a bow. The sword slid precisely through the wound torn open by the fireball, stabbing deep into the wolf's spine. Sizzle. Lightning crackled everywhere. The stench of burning fur mixed with blood hung thick in the air. 45. Weak point critical hit. The wild wolf's massive frame convulsed violently. The crimson light faded from its eyes, and it crashed to the ground, dissolving into scattered motes of light. A tattered wolf hide remained on the dirt. We did it. The 5 erupted with joy, then gasped for breath, collapsing onto the ground from exhaustion. A faint white glow washed over them, and the party experience bar climbed upward slightly. Captain, I pulled through. Wang Ming tossed aside his battered shield and clenched his trembling fists. It was so close. My defense nearly broke. Well fought. Excellent work. Zhao Tai pushed himself upright, leaning on his sword, and patted Wang Ming's shoulder in encouragement. He quickly opened his status panel and stared at the clear jump in his experience bar before laughing loudly toward the sky. Truly rewarding fighting a level 3 monster. We gained experience beyond expectations for defeating a foe 2 levels higher than us. My experience bar is already at 12%. Hearing this, the 4 exhausted teammates lit up. Amazing, Tai. That perfectly timed finishing strike was incredible. Mage Chun Tsung hurried over, giving him enthusiastic praise. If not for your thunder lunge at the end, we would all have perished today. Indeed, Priest Li Yuan echoed, her eyes filled with admiration and pride. We pulled off an overlevel hunt. Among thousands of new recruits in Shimmer City, how many teams dare stand toe-to-toe with a level 3 monster? Flattered by their compliments, Zhao Tai smoothed his messy hair and smiled modestly. It was everyone's effort. As long as we stand united, no enemy is unbeatable. Ha ha. The captain speaks the truth. All 5 laughed together. Pride and exhilaration filled their laughter. Zhao Tai suddenly grew serious. If we keep this pace, I will reach level 2 by tonight. He tightened his grip on the sword, his gaze burning as he stared forward. The siege hunt lasts 1 week. Before it concludes, we will definitely hit level 3. We might even stand a chance of touching level 4. Level 3. Wang Ming gasped in shock. Tai, the highest record set by participants in Shimmer City's siege hunt over past years, was barely level 3. If we reach level 3, we will rank among the top 100 in the entire city and earn eligibility to sit for Tianfu University's entrance examination. Does it even need to be said? With Tai around, anything's possible. Cheered on by his teammates, the gloom weighing on Zhao Tai's heart melted away. The humiliation of being unable to retort when Lin Mo scolded him that morning faded little by little at this moment. He let out a cold snort and kicked the materials on the ground into his backpack. That Su Xiaoli is indeed abnormal. I admit defeat when it comes to her mythic class occupation. But so what? That kid Lin Mo is destined to end up trampled beneath my feet. Zhao Tai licked his parched lips, a look of delight flashing across his eyes. I'd love to see how many days that useless fellow who awakened a blank warrior can survive out in the wilderness without a woman shielding him. Chun Song immediately chimed in. Tai Go, why even mention that loser? He's nothing but bad luck. He's just a blank warrior, and his talent only blocks 10 damage. How ridiculous is that? I bet he's holed up in some tree hollow right now, trembling with that shoddy iron sword issued by the camp. Exactly. Li Yuan covered her mouth and giggled, her tone dripping with disdain. Earlier when we fought that level 3 Wildlands wolf, Wang Ming barely held on even with his shield. If Lin Mo ran into one, he'd probably get torn in two with a single bite. Ha ha ha. Everyone shared a knowing laugh. Belittling their once talented former peer filled them with an indescribable sense of superiority and satisfaction. Zhao Tai touched the still throbbing scar on his forehead, his gaze turning icy. No rush. Once we all become level 3 powerhouses, I'll grind every last bit of his pride into the dirt. He'll learn he's inferior to every single one of us. On the other side. What? In front of Lin Mo, Qin Lan's clear voice echoed across the wilderness. You only hit level 30 on your first day, and now you're demanding your first-class advancement. Shock contorted her features. She stood there completely dumbfounded. Hey, don't crack such jokes. It's not funny at all. She stumbled backward several steps, the finger she pointed at Lin Mo trembling nonstop. Cut it out. Quit doing things no ordinary human would attempt. If you keep pulling off absurd feats like this, I'll call for official support. Envoy Qin. Lin Mo lifted his head, a relaxed smile in his eyes. Does the Alliance Code state anywhere that leveling too fast is a crime? You call this fast? Qin Lan's voice rose an octave. 2 monsters. From level 0 straight to level 30. What on earth have you been doing? Lin Mo declined to answer, silently staring at his system panel. Level 31st class advancement threshold reached EXP. 15,000,000/1 500 EXP full. Complete advancement as soon as possible. He turned to look at Qin Lan, his tone earnest. My level got stuck accidentally. Since the envoy is here, you could help me out. I want to complete my first-class advancement. An eerie silence fell over the air. Qin Lan stared at him as if observing someone who'd just escaped a psychiatric ward. You want to advance right now? Qin Lan let out a bitter laugh. Do you think first-class advancement is as simple as buying groceries at the market? Lin Mo frowned slightly. I'm already level 30. What else am I supposed to do if I don't advance? Are you kidding me? Qin Lan fought to calm her racing heartbeat and held up 3 fingers. First, every class advancement requires the corresponding advancement item. Second, you have to clear the designated advancement dungeon. Third, she locked eyes firmly with Lin Mo, and this is the most important point. You're only a blank warrior. Your first advancement is your one and only chance to change your fate and obtain a stronger occupation. You're out here in the middle of nowhere with 0 preparations. Do you plan to advance into some random nobody? It was far more troublesome than he expected. Lin Mo mulled it over internally. This single chance to change occupation could not be wasted carelessly. It seemed advancement here was out of the question. Lin Mo nodded. Very well. I won't advance for now. Qin Lan let out a cold huff. It's a relief you still have some sense. Come back to Core City with me honestly. Drawing on the Alliance's vast resources, I can personally guarantee I'll help you track down the rarest advancement materials. On one condition, you agree to work logistics for Xiaoli. I refuse. Lin Mo cut her off without hesitation. Qin Lan's words caught in her throat, and she nearly choked on her own saliva. What did you say? Do you understand how many people would beg endlessly for this opportunity? If you just nod your head, you could get leads to hidden occupations. Lin Mo tuned her words out. Too lazy to keep conversing with this woman, he pulled up his status panel directly. HP, 1600 MP, 1600 talent, block LV, 591 strength, 390 constitution, 160 spirit, 160 speed, 160 skills, parry LV.15, berserk LV.1 EXP multiplier, 40000X. As his level surged, a new skill had unlocked. Berserk LV 1. Lin Mo's eyes lit up. What an overbearing skill. For other occupation holders, this was a risky burst ability that traded life power for damage. Even in peak condition, they could only sustain it for around 10 seconds of peak combat. If they kept Berserk active any longer, their HP would drop to a single point. A single stray hit would send them to the afterlife instantly. But Lin Mo was different. He possessed a block value of 5,910 points. Block works against all damage types, even true damage. That meant he could treat Berserk as a permanent active skill. Just imagine once he raised Berserk to grant 100 tenacity. He'd become an unstoppable fighter with constant super armor, utterly overpowered. Once I activate Berserk, nothing can stand in my way. Since his level cap was reached, it was time to raise his skill levels. Lin Mo's EXP multiplier now stood at an absurd 40,000 times. What did a 40,000x multiplier mean? An ordinary human lifespan spans barely 30,000 days. For Lin Mo, A single day of training equaled 40,000 days of practice for others. This strike of mine carries the accumulated effort of 100 years. Can you withstand it? Where are you going? Qinlan watched Lin Mo heft his axe and head deeper into the thick woods, asking sharply. My level is maxed out. I'm going to train my skills. Lin Mo did not turn back, waving one hand casually. Qinlan froze. She glanced toward the direction Lin Mo vanished into, the territory of level 30 monsters. Have you lost your mind? Qinlan raised her voice sharply. What good does hitting level 30 do you? Level 30 monsters are meant to fight against post-advancement occupation users. You lack the stat bonuses from a first advancement template, and you aren't wearing any defensive gear at all. Are you marching off to get yourself killed? Lin Mo kept walking. A death sentence? The attack power of level 30 monsters topped out at barely over 1,000 points. They couldn't even break through his defenses. What he lacked right now was not more stats. He needed monsters to act as training dummies to farm skill proficiency. If the envoy has nothing better to do, you can watch from the sidelines. Just don't get in the way of my fights. With those words, Lin Mo's figure disappeared into the shadowy dead forest. Qinlan stood rooted to the spot, chest heaving with anger. She, a mighty 5th-tier powerhouse and official alliance envoy, had just been brushed off by a boy who awakened his occupation only one day ago. Yet she made no move to stop him. Fine. Very well. Qinlan ground her teeth. You're so arrogant. I'm determined to see where your limits lie. When high-tier monsters break through your defenses and you beg me for rescue, I'll record every miserable second and send the footage to Xiaoli. Lectures fall on deaf ears, but experience teaches lessons instantly. She was determined to watch the boy suffer a harsh lesson today. Otherwise, her dignity as a 5th-tier powerhouse would be tarnished. She leaped back onto her shadow griffin and vanished high into the sky. Half an hour later, Lin Mo located a herd of level 30 bloodthirsty steel-tusk boars. A faint crimson glow spread over his body, the mark of the berserk skill active. Qinlan folded her arms and watched coldly, clutching a magical item in her hand the entire time. Soon, something bizarre unfolded. Lin Mo kept berserk running non-stop, taunting the level 30 boars relentlessly. One after another, the beasts charged him, only to collide with Lin Mo's readied parry. And above Lin Mo's head, only 0 floated into view. Qinlan sank deep into confusion. What was going on with this boy? She could not make sense of any of it. Fighting low-level or mid-level monsters was one thing, but now even level 30 creatures could not scratch him. It defied all logic. These level 30 wild beasts were a match for advanced occupation holders post-advancement. Someone without an advancement had no business fighting them. Only those with epic tier occupations should be capable of such a feat, yet this boy wore no equipment whatsoever, wielding nothing more than a crude axe. How was this possible? Heavy crashing sounds echoed through the level 30 monster zone. High above, Qinlan stared down at the figure below whose HP lingered at a single last point, her eyes twitching wildly. He's draining 10% of his HP every second, leaving himself with just 1 health point. He might as well be defenseless. A gust of toxic wind, or a mere graze from a monster, and the boy would die instantly. But against all odds, not a single visible damage number appeared above him. Every value that popped up was simply 0. Meanwhile, the level 30 steel tusk boar crashed into him as if slamming against an unshakable titanium mountain, letting out a blood-curdling scream. Its massive body was sent flying violently, crashing heavily into the mire. A glaring red number floated above its head. 85. Parry reflect, damage ding. Physical attack received, block triggered. Current EXP multiplier 40,000x. Gain 40,000 block EXP. Parry successful. Gain 40,000 parry EXP. Berserk active. Gain 40,000 skill EXP. Block only rewarded EXP upon successful activation, while Berserk granted EXP at set intervals. Moments later, the system notifications surged all at once. Ding. Parry rises to LV.100. New advanced effect unlocked. Parry LV.100. Use your weapon to parry incoming physical attacks within 0.5 seconds. Reduce 119 physical damage and reflect 54.5 physical damage. Advanced effect gained. Impenetrable bulwark. Impenetrable bulwark. Physical damage resistance upgrades to universal damage resistance. All reflected damage converts to true damage. Parry had finally advanced. These stats were well worth all the effort he poured in. From this moment onward, he possessed perfect invincibility frames, just like an unstoppable warrior. Listening to the flood of scrolling system alerts in his mind, Lin Mo brimmed with motivation. Bring it on. Lin Mo crooked his fingers, taunting the boar herd. The boars flew into a rage. Dozens of enraged beasts attacked in turn. Charging, biting, trampling. Boom. Zero. Clang. Zero. Qianlan watched from the sky for 2 full hours. From initial shock to numbness, until now, her worldview had shattered completely into shards. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Qianlan muttered to herself, her gaze blank. Even a level 50 shield warrior with a top-tier defensive talent, without armor, would take damage facing a horde of level 30 monsters charging together. How could this blank warrior with barely a sliver of HP remain completely unharmed? Could he possess some hidden defensive talent? She could not comprehend it, not in the slightest. What had become of this world? Just as Qianlan sank into existential doubt, the battle below came to a halt. It was not that Lin Mo could no longer hold on. The boar herd could endure no more. More than a dozen steel-tusked boars lay sprawled in the muck, foaming at the mouth, eyes glazed over. Their tusks broken, snouts battered flat, without the strength even to grunt. Already worn out, Lin Mo kicked a boar pretending to be dead beside his foot, looking dissatisfied. They didn't last nearly long enough. He glanced at his panel. Berserk active. Gain 40,000 skill EXP. Ding. Berserk rises to LV.100. New advanced effect unlocked. Shortly after Parry's advancement, Berserk had finally leveled up too. Berserk LV.100 effect, while active, gains 69.5 tenacity, 69.5 physical lifesteal, and a 99.5 boost to strength and speed. Each level increases tenacity by 0.5, physical lifesteal by 0.5, strength by 0.5, and speed by 0.5. Cooldown none. Cost. Consume 10 maximum HP each second. HP cannot drop below 1. Advanced effect gained. Advent of the Berserk God. Advent of the Berserk God. Each attack, while active, stacks 5 attack speed, max 20 stacks. At maximum stacks, activate Berserk will all attributes multiplied by 3. Whoa, these numbers were insane. Nearly a full 100% boost to strength and speed, stacked alongside the advanced effect Berserk, well, that tripled all attributes as an independent multiplier. Once he stacked his attack speed to 20 layers, his strength and speed would be multiplied 6-fold. It was utterly broken. If he raised tenacity and lifesteal all the way to 100%, he would have near constant invincibility frames, permanent super armor, maximum lifesteal, and stacked attack speed, the ultimate enhanced warrior. Invincible. These stats far exceeded reasonable limits. Anyone who saw him fight would be stunned speechless. He had focused primarily on leveling Berserk and Parry so far. But Lin Mo never forgot his greatest asset, his block talent. Only with a sufficiently high block level could he fight without any worries. When it came to training block, the boar's attack frequency was far too slow to meet his efficiency standards. If the monsters aren't enough of a challenge, I'll have to create opportunities myself. Lin Mo picked up a boar tusk greatsword dropped by one of the fallen boars. He held the berserker axe in his right hand and the boar tusk greatsword in his left. High above, Qianlan snapped out of her daze and frowned, watching Lin Mo's strange movements. What is he planning to do? Qianlan wondered silently. The next instant, Lin Mo stretched out his neck, pressing the sharp blades of the axe and sword against the arteries on either side of his throat. Swish, 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 striking left and right. The two blades blurred into streaks as they saw rapidly back and forth across his neck. The blades moved so fast they resembled two saws grinding against an old timber post. Qianlan's pupils shrank sharply, and her breath caught in her throat. What are you doing? Her urgent shout cut through the clouds. Qianlan instantly activated a teleport scroll in her grasp. Was this boy trying to take his own life? Yet Lin Mo did not stop even when she landed beside him. He moved like a being immune to pain, dragging both blades forcefully back and forth again and again. Screech, screech, screech. Alongside the chilling, grinding noise, bright sparks flew where the blades met Lin Mo's neck. 0, 0, 0. Dense 0 damage values floated up one after another. Block triggered. EXP plus 40,000. Block triggered. EXP plus 40,000. Qianlan stared at the endless stream of 0 values above his head. She froze completely on the spot. If not for seeing every damage readout register 0, she would have intervened already. The sight was horrifying. Who trained skills by sawing at their own neck? Even if he took no damage, the practice was unsettling to witness. Lin Mo halted his movements, touching his neck. Not a single white mark remained. He turned to face Qianlan. Can't the envoy see what's happening? Lin Imo spoke calmly. I'm training. You call sawing at your own neck training? Lan completely lost her composure, abandoning all poise befitting a fifth-tier powerhouse. Are you out of your mind? No occupation holder trains skills like this. Lin Imo frowned. You pay such close attention to everything I do. Are you curious about me? Unfortunately, my partner is younger and livelier than you. I don't share that kind of connection with you. You. Lan choked with anger, pointing a finger at Lin Imo, unable to find words for a long moment. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. This is an improper method. Even if you train your block talent like this for a month, how much EXP can you possibly gain? That is none of your concern. Lin Imo turned away, pressing his neck against the two blades once more. Screech. Sparks sprayed from both sides of his neck. The advanced effect of Berserk was incredibly useful. His EXP farming speed had effectively doubled. Just wait, Envoy. Prepare yourself to admit defeat. Arrogance. Unbridled arrogance. Lan let out bitter, continuous laughs. Very well, excellent. I'll watch closely to see what you can accomplish. I'll stay right here and witness you get yourself hurt. With that, Lan stepped back and quickly operated her communicator, placing a video call. Little girl, watch how your partner is harming himself. Hey, that's playing dirty. Lin Imo widened his eyes in disbelief. Wah, Lin Imo, what are you doing? When Su Xiaoli saw Lin Imo sawing at his own neck, she nearly burst into tears. Don't do this. If something happens to you, I don't want to go on alone. Lin Imo. After Lin Imo explained everything and showed her the constant zero damage readings above his head, Su Xiaoli finally relaxed. So you really are just training skills. Don't listen to this skeptical lady. I'm perfectly fine. She's only trying to use you to pressure me. I see now. I get it. Su Xiaoli broke into a sweet smile. Menopause, old woman. Lan felt as if she had been struck by lightning. You insolent brat. She touched her flawless, stunning face, doubting her own looks for the first time. Time ticked by. The sun sank westward, and crimson twilight spilled over the withered woods within the Black Frontier buffer zone. An entire half-day had passed. Throughout these hours, Lin Imo moved like an inexhaustible perpetual motion machine. Whenever wild monsters wandered by, he charged forward and struck them down. As soon as a monster fell, he immediately began sawing at its neck. Lan gradually grew numb, then fully accustomed to the sight. This guy is anything but normal. That was the only thought lingering in Lan's mind. Beneath the sunset, Lin Imo finally ceased his movements. He twisted his aching neck and pulled his battle axe free from the tree crevice. Glancing at the pale golden data flickering across his retina, he could not suppress a grin. HP, 1600 mana, 1600 talent, block level 1105. Strength, 390 constitution, 160 spirit, 160 speed, 160 skills, parry level 123, berserk level 205 experience multiplier, 40,000 times berserk level 205 effect. Upon activation, gain 122 toughness, 122 physical lifesteal, and boost strength and speed by 152. Cooldown, none cost, consume 10 HP per second. HP cannot drop below 1 HP. Parry level 123, use your weapon to parry enemy attacks, reducing all attribute damage taken by 142 and reflecting 66 true damage. Cooldown, 2 seconds cost, 30 mana. Block at level 1105. It could block 11,050 damage each activation. Parry now reflected 66 true damage. Berserk was utterly overpowered. Not only did its toughness exceed 100, the boost to strength and speed reached 152. It boasted powerful mechanics and staggering stats. The terrifying rate of growth made it hard for him to hold back his smile. Thankfully, the day's hunt was finally over. It was time to head back. Night fell. Black Frontier Hunt Camp. Massive searchlights flooded the open ground before the camp with brilliant light. Thousands of new recruits taking part in the assessment gathered in small groups, tallying their gains from the first day. The air reeked of blood, mixed with excited chatter. Lin Imo drifted past like an unnoticed specter. He walked up to the second-floor battalion commander's office, casually pulled out a lounge chair, and settled down in an empty spot. Camp Commander Zhang, who watched nearby. Sometimes he truly disliked students with no sense of boundaries. Commander Zhang was about to shout a reprimand in anger. Yet upon getting a clear look at the young man's identity, he fell silent at once. This student had powerful connections. He could not afford to provoke him. Bang! The heavy iron gate of the camp hall was kicked open. Zhao Tai strode inside. His fine leather armor bore several deep gashes stained dark red with blood. Far from looking worn out, He deliberately straightened his back. A powerful level 2 aura surged forth without restraint. Whoa, that's class radiance. Zhao Tai leveled up to level 2? Already, on the very first day? It's not just him. Look at Wang Ming and the others behind him. Their auras changed too. The whole team hit level 2. Gasps rippled through the surrounding recruits. Countless glances filled with envy, jealousy, and awe locked onto Zhao Tai. Zhao Tai savored every bit of this attention. He lifted his chin and drove his wolf-bloodied longsword heavily into the wooden floor. I suppose the encirclement hunt isn't all it's hyped up to be. Zhao Tai scanned the hall, speaking loudly so everyone could hear. My team easily hunted several level 3 monsters. Nothing worth bragging about. The hall erupted in commotion. Level 3 monsters? They dared to fight level 3 foes on day 1. No wonder he hit level 2. Zhao Tai really has talent. It looks like Zhao Tai's team could rank within the top 100 this year. Basking in the praise, Chen Tsong, the mage on his team, tilted his head proudly. Exactly. Those level 3 beasts couldn't last 3 seconds against us. Level 3 monsters aren't all that formidable. The elite class's strength is no empty boast. 12 hunt camps circled Radiant City, each holding nearly 10,000 participants. Securing a top 100 ranking among almost 100,000 competitors was an outstanding achievement. As the crowd flocked to curry favor with Zhao Tai's group, Zhao Tai spotted Lin Mo resting on the lounge chair. Lin Mo lay relaxed, as if he were here for a vacation. Zhao Tai narrowed his eyes. The sight of Lin Mo completely unharmed stoked his anger instantly. He marched over to stand before Lin Mo. Well, look who it is. Zhao Tai sized Lin Mo up and down, a mocking sneer tugging at his lips. The former top spirit talent of Radiant City. Did you just crawl out of some tree hollow? Lin Mo lifted his eyelids and shot Zhao Tai a casual glance. Cut the nonsense. Don't disturb my rest. Zhao Tai's expression darkened, yet he held back his rage and laughed even louder. Quite the temper. Look at your clothes. Not a single blade of grass stuck to them. What's this? Wandering along the edge of the level 1 buffer zone all day, too afraid to fight even a single level 1 rotting rat. Li Yuan, the priest, stepped forward and wrinkled her nose in disdain. Why waste your breath on him, Brother Zhao? He's probably been hiding up a tree all day, terrified at the sound of monster roars. Ha ha! Unrestrained laughter burst out from the surrounding recruits. They could not attack Lin Mo, seeing he had influential backing, but mocking him felt fair game. Lin Mo did not grow angry. He stared at Zhao Tai's face, twisted with arrogance, and found it rather amusing. Finished, Lin Mo picked at his ear. If you are, get out of my sight. I have no interest listening to your rambling. You dare keep acting cocky. Wang Ming, standing behind Zhao Tai, stepped forward abruptly. His tower shield slammed into the ground with a dull thud. Zhao Tai held Wang Ming back. He stared at Lin Mo, cold glint flickering in his eyes. Lin Mo, this isn't school anymore. No teachers will step in to protect you. Zhao Tai pointed straight at Lin Mo, without shally around. What do you amount to? I led my team to slay level 3 monsters and reached level 2 today. You haven't even hit level 1, have you? What right do you have to talk down to me? He unleashed the aura of a level 2 thunder swordsman on purpose, trying to overwhelm Lin Mo with momentum. Faint electric currents crackled through the air. Qin Lan, seated high on the main platform of the camp, watched the posturing Zhao Tai with a strange look. A level 2 challenging someone effectively at level 30? How interesting. Young people these days truly knew how to court trouble. And this Lin Mo was sly too. He could crush Zhao Tai effortlessly, yet chose not to reveal his power. Lin Mo did not flinch. He looked at Zhao Tai as if watching a fool. His level 30 stats alone were more than enough to overpower this man. Zhao Tai's so-called imposing aura felt no stronger than a light breeze against Lin Mo. You managed to hunt one level 3 monster, and look how full of yourself you've become. A mocking smile curved Lin Mo's lips. Why not drape its hide over your shoulders and declare yourself king right here? Zhao Tai was left speechless, his face twitching. Your complexion looks terrible, your forehead dark. Did that level 3 monster knock some sense loose? Lin Mo kept pressing, his tone calm yet biting. Of course. You scraped together a team of 5, ganging up on a single monster to slowly wear it down. No wonder you feel the need to shout about it here. Still, patch up those wounds before you try to show off. You look like you just tumbled out of a muck pit. Several people in the hall could not hold back and burst into laughter. The hall echoed with amusement. Most were simply here for entertainment, caring little who got humiliated. Zhao Tai's chest heaved violently. Veins bulged on the back of his sword-wielding hand. He longed to strike out, yet he knew fighting within the camp was forbidden. Anyone who started a brawl would have their assessment qualification revoked. Fine, very well. Zhao Tai gritted his teeth and pointed at Lin Mo. Since you're so quick with words, let the results speak for themselves. The hunt camp leaderboard will refresh soon. System data never lies. He turned and shouted for the whole hall to hear. Everyone bear witness. If your score isn't at least half of mine, you will kneel and kowtow, admitting you are utterly worthless. What happens if your score falls below mine? Lin Mo asked. Score lower than you? Ha ha. Zhao Tai laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke alive. If you outscore me, I will get down on all fours, bark like a dog, and circle the entire hunt camp on my hands and knees. That's your promise. Lin Mo nodded. Don't say I didn't warn you. Cameras cover the whole camp. Your memorable display will spread far and wide. At that moment, the massive mechanical crystal screen in the center of the hall hummed. Blue light projected outward, forming a huge virtual light curtain suspended in midair. It's updating. The first day's overall rankings are coming out. Every pair of eyes locked onto the screen. Numbers rolled frantically starting from the 10,000th place. Dense rows of names and scores flashed past rapidly. The vast majority of participants held only 10 to 20 points. Soon the rankings reached the top 100. Anyone ranked here boasted at least 70 points, meaning they had slain no fewer than 7 level 2 monsters that day. The numbers continued climbing, and the scrolling slowed. Rank 105, Sisters Team, score, 75. Rank 101, Minter Squad, score, 92. Brother Tai, our whole team, made the top 100. Chen Song shouted excitedly. Zhao Tai took a deep breath, staring fixedly at the top of the screen. Rank 92, Tai Squad, score, 135. 135 points. Zhao Tai clenched his fists, overcome with wild joy. This score ranked among the best results seen in past encirclement hunts held by Radiant City. We've secured our standing. Wang Meng roared. Zhao Tai turned, tilted his chin upward to look at Lin Mo, arrogance blazing in his eyes. See that? 135 points. What can you possibly compete with me with? Kneel now, and I might overlook your earlier disrespect. Lin Mo paid him no mind. He did not even glance up at the light curtain, standing there calmly. Who's in first place? Why hasn't it appeared yet? Someone wondered aloud. 890 points only for second place? Who claimed first? The screen froze for 5 full seconds at the first place slot. It seemed the system was double-checking an absurd data entry, afraid of an error. Then gilded golden characters blazed bright enough to sting everyone's eyes. All gazes converged on those 2 characters and the dizzying string of numbers beside them. Rank 1, Lin Mo, score, 155,000. Silence. Dead silence. Only the faint hum of machinery echoed through the hall. The arrogance on Zhao Tai's face froze instantly. His pupils shrank sharply as he stared at the 5-digit score, his body trembling uncontrollably. 155,000. Chen Song rubbed his eyes, his voice trembling. Is there a system glitch? This has to be a bug. A level 1 monster yielded only 1 point, and a level 3 monster a mere 20 points. 155,000 points? That would mean slaughtering nearly every low-level monster within the buffer zone, and then some. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Zhao Tai roared hysterically. He spun around and pointed at Lin Mo, cheating. You must have used forbidden items. I'm filing an official report. On the second-floor observation platform, the Black Frontier Hunt Camp commander held a steaming cup of tea. When he saw the score on the screen, his hand jerked, spilling boiling hot liquid onto his thighs. Ugh. Envoy, could the scoring system be? The commander glanced nervously at Qin Lan beside him. He suspected Qin Lan had personally hunted monsters to pad Lin Mo's score, yet dared not voice the thought openly. Qin Lan folded her arms, watching the chaos erupting in the hall below with a blank expression. Only she knew the score was completely legitimate. A single level 17 elite monster granted a base score of 1,000. Later, Lin Mo had ventured into the level 30 monster zone. Dozens of level 30 steel tusk boars had been killed by reflected damage from his parry, each worth at least 5,000 points. Adding the other monsters he encountered, over 150,000 points was entirely reasonable. The system had even rounded his total downward. The system functions correctly. Qin Lan's voice carried a hint of weariness. Complex emotions flickered across her face. Down below, Lin Mo stood surrounded by accusations, yet still appeared unperturbed, as if daring them to report him. Make preparations. Qin Lan suddenly turned toward her adjutant Chun Rue. Send a top-secret transmission to headquarters. State that Lin Mo possesses a hidden talent. I formally request to stay by his side and serve as his temporary guardian. Chun Rue's eyes widened. A hidden talent? A guardian? Are you serious, team leader? Qin Lan drew a deep breath. His true value can only be understood through thorough observation. If he continues demonstrating such extraordinary power, his worth will rival most mythic-tier professions. Commander Zhang, mark all records related to him as top secret. No one may access them without my authorization. Come up with whatever official justification you need. Commander Zhang glanced at the lounge chair Lin Mo occupied, then nodded quietly. I understand. Inside the hall, Zhao Tai rushed over to the officer managing assessment records and slammed his palm on the table, shouting, Sir, I demand a full-body inspection for him at once. He's just an ordinary warrior. How could he earn over 80,000 points? This isn't just mocking our intelligence. It's a blatant violation of the Alliance assessment rules. The officer frowned, also finding the statistic far too unbelievable. He was about to pull up Lin Mo's combat footage. Halt! Commander Zhang roared suddenly. Lin Mo is a direct family member of a core mythic-ranked Alliance member. No one has the authority to access his private records without permission. Scores are final and accurate. Cheating does not happen under my watch. That's nonsense. Wang Ming could no longer contain himself, glaring fiercely. Explain how he earned 155,000 points. Did he reach level 30 in a single day? He quickly met Commander Zhang's stern gaze and began trembling. He had acted recklessly, daring to talk back to the hunt camp commander. You there, the one who just spoke. Step forward. Commander Zhang pointed at Wang Ming with a dark expression. What for? Wang Ming shrank back like a frightened quail. What for? Run 100 laps around the camp. If you don't finish, don't sleep tonight. But why? Refuse, and I will charge you with disrespecting an officer. Your assessment results will be voided, and you will be barred from all hunt camp activities for 3 years. Commander Zhang boomed. Wang Ming's face turned ashen. Being barred from hunt camp activities meant losing his chance to enter university. And you? Commander Zhang pointed at Zhao Tai. What about me? Zhao Tai stared in confusion. You lost your bet to Lin Mo. Now uphold your end of the agreement. Wah! Zhao Tai's features twisted as if he had swallowed something rotten. No words could describe his current despair. What are you gaping for? A deal is a deal. Act like a man and honor your wager. Stop dragging your feet. If you refuse, you face the same penalty as Wang Ming, voided results. Commander Zhang's voice boomed like a loudspeaker, audible to everyone in the camp. The sound reverberated, ringing in every listener's ears. Zhao Tai realized the camp authorities were shielding Lin Mo. That was his final thought. Woof, woof. Horse barks echoed across the open grounds of Black Frontier Camp. Zhao Tai crawled forward on all fours. The fabric over his knees had long worn through. Rough gravel embedded itself in his skin, trickles of blood seeping out. He kept his head low, nearly touching the ground. With every crawl, he forced a dry bark from his throat. A huge crowd encircled him. Thousands of new recruits had no intention of heading off to rest. A spectacle such as this rarely appeared once a year. Louder, Brother Tai. Someone in the crowd jeered. Ha! What's wrong with Zhao Tai? Why does he keep stirring up trouble? Right? Where's that booming confidence he had back in the hall? Keep acting tough. Jeers and whistles cut into Zhao Tai's back like dull blades. He gritted his teeth hard, bloodshot fury blazing in his eyes. I refuse to accept this. I, Zhao Tai, am inferior to no one. I will never admit I'm weaker than that man. Woof, 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 he roared, only to be lashed by a camp soldier standing guard behind him, forcing him to let out dog-like yelps. On the second-floor observation platform, Lin Mu watched the seething Zhao Tai below, a smile tugging at his lips. He loved seeing others burn with resentment, yet be powerless against him. In the shadows on the other side of the hall, several figures stood rigid, coldly observing the commotion on the training grounds. At their head stood a young man clad in silver-gray standard light armor with a dark golden badge pinned to his chest, Chu Tianhua. He was a genuine powerhouse who had scored 890 team points on the first day of the assessment. He possessed the epic class, Stormcaster. Unlike small fry such as Zhao Tai, every member of his 4-man team wielded an epic class, talents 1 in 10,000. They had crushed the third-place team by an overwhelming margin. If not for Lin Mu, they would have been the center of everyone's attention, claiming first place. But now, the staggering 150,000 points perched atop the leaderboard struck them like an invisible, humiliating slap. Brother Chu, this whole thing feels fishy. Monkey, the epic assassin beside him, lowered his voice, thick resentment lacing his tone. 150,000 points? Damn, they didn't even bother to make it convincing. Envoy Qin must have intervened personally. Otherwise, there's no way to rack up such a score. Battalion Commander Zhang was definitely pressured by higher-ups and ordered to keep quiet. Chu Tianqua twisted the magic ring on his finger, his gaze dark and menacing. Su Xiaoli holds a mythic class. The alliance is appeasing her. It makes perfect sense to inflate her boyfriend's ranking and build up his reputation. Chu Tianqua said coldly. What do we do then? The consortium tasked us with securing first place. If we fail, won't we become disposable pawns? Monkey tightened his grip on the dagger at his waist. He still remembered the consortium's brutal methods clearly. To them, every person was merely an object. Anyone who failed to demonstrate sufficient value would be cast aside without hesitation. Fabricated statistics remain nothing but lies. Chu Tianqua fixed his eyes on the figure resting upstairs. Hunting in the wilderness always carries risks of casualties. He paused, a ruthless glint flashing across his eyes. Have you forgotten the item the consortium gave us to prepare for emergencies? You mean that thing? Monkey's eyes widened in shock. The other two teammates, a priest and a shield warrior, also paled with fright. What? Are you willing to let the mission fail? The female priest hesitated for a moment before firmly shaking her head. The shield warrior swallowed hard, and the two spoke in unison. We follow the captain's orders. The next day, thick fog still lingered over Blackspire hunting camp in the early morning. The massive iron gate of the camp slowly creaked open. Several early rising teams yawned and stepped outside, ready to begin the second day of hunting. Lin Mu walked at the very end of the crowd. He shuffled lazily and yawned, looking as if he hadn't gotten enough sleep. The instant he stepped past the gate and out of the safe zone, Lin Mu pulled the boar-tooth blade and berserker's axe out of his storage space. He lifted both weapons, pressing the blade and axe against the left and right sides of his neck. Screech, screech, screech. The two sharp edges rubbed against each other in rapid sawing motions. Sparks showered through the morning mist, and the shrill metallic friction instantly drowned out all surrounding chatter. Every new recruit at the camp gate froze, staring at the man sawing at his own neck as if witnessing a ghost. Is this guy out of his mind? Whoa, isn't he the top-ranked contestant? Could this be some bizarre cultivation technique? Hidden within the shadows of distant shrubbery, Chu Tianqua and his three teammates had lain in wait for half an hour. Monkey the assassin chewed gum, but his jaw went rigid the moment he saw the scene unfolding. He spat the gum onto the ground. Brother Chu. Monkey rubbed his eyes, his voice trembling. He's slicing his own neck. Has he lost his mind? The shield warrior swallowed hard, his gaze locked on Lin Mu's neck. Is he trying to take his own life? But sparks are flying, and not a single scratch breaks his skin. Look, the edges of his weapons are actually wearing dull. Everyone watched as the blade and axe resting against Lin Mu's neck visibly dulled from constant grinding. Chu Tianqua's eyelid twitched violently. He clutched his staff tightly, his stare fixed unwaveringly on Lin Mu's movements. He scanned carefully. The weapons were genuine, not props. The force behind each motion was real, and the glaring sparks could not be faked. What could this mean? Did he possess an outrageous defensive talent and use this display as a warning to others not to provoke him? Nonsense. Chu Tianqua refused to believe it. He had been present on the day Lin Mu awakened his talent and seen everything firsthand. Today, one way or another, he would test Lin Mu's true strength. Pay no mind to whatever he's doing. Follow him. Once he ventures deeper into the wilderness, I'll show him what true despair feels like. Lin Mu carried his blade and axe, trailing sparks as he walked 3 kilometers onward. The other new recruits all detoured far away, intimidated by his deranged display. Qinlan watched on, utterly speechless. This kid made no effort whatsoever to pretend normalcy. Lin Mu had long sensed Chu Tianqua and his group trailing behind him. With 160 spirit attribute points, he stood head and shoulders above the other recruits. Even an epic class cultivator at level 2 could never compare to him at level 30. The breaths of Chu Tianqua's party, which they thought they concealed perfectly, thundered loud in his ears. Still, he could not be bothered to deal with them. He felt drained today. After non-stop grinding the previous day, his block proficiency had surpassed 1,000. Furthermore, his level was capped at level 30 with maximum experience. He could not advance further without completing his first-class advancement. Roaming endlessly to hunt monsters for skill experience was inefficient, and walking everywhere left his legs aching. Lin Mu came to a halt. He glanced left and right, and set his sights on an enormous dead tree trunk wide enough for 10 people linking arms to encircle. He leaped upward, landing steadily on a thick branch 5 to 6 meters above the ground. Stowing his weapons, Lin Mu pulled a soft blanket out of his storage space and spread it beneath him. He closed his eyes. Time to sleep. 200 meters away, behind an earthen slope, Monkey held up a high-powered tactical telescope and maintained the same posture for a full 10 minutes. He slowly lowered it and turned toward Chu Tianqua. Brother Chu, he's asleep. Monkey's tone brimmed with disbelief. Seriously, he's really sleeping. He doesn't take us seriously in the slightest. Chu Tianqua's face turned livid. He felt like a fool. He and his team had tracked a formidable foe with full vigilance, only to discover their target had come out simply to nap outdoors. 150,000 points, yet he refuses to hunt monsters and chooses to sleep instead. Chu Tianqua ground his back teeth, killing intent blazing in his eyes. Does he truly think we are all idiots, willing to be fooled by this favored contestant? Chu Tianqua reached into his chest pocket and pulled out a thumb-sized glass vial sealed with red lacquer. Thick, dark purple powder swirled inside. When Monkey saw the vial, his pupils contracted sharply. Brother Chu, are we really going to use this? We'll lose control of the scale once it's unleashed. He likes sleeping, doesn't he? Chu Tianqua sneered and handed the vial to Monkey. Stop talking. Go lure over a group of level 10 monsters. Consider it our gift to the first-place contestant. But Brother Chu, Monkey hesitated, clutching the vial. If this kid loses his life, the Alliance will investigate, and we will all suffer the consequences. Just do as I say. More monsters would be even better. Chu Tianqua barely lifted his eyelids. He won't die. Envoy Qin will definitely intervene. As soon as Envoy Qin steps in, we will have solid proof he cheated. Even the Alliance will be unable to silence public opinion after that. He pulled a military reconnaissance drone from his backpack and activated the connection. I will use this drone to stream high-definition, unedited footage straight to the camp's public channel. I want to see how the Alliance attempts to shield him. Monkey gritted his teeth. Let's do it. He instantly activated stealth, his figure blending into thin air as he silently crept toward the dead tree. Lin Mu slept soundly. Sunlight filtered through the dry branches and fell warmly across his face. Suddenly, a sharp, sickly sweet stench drifted into his nostrils. Moments later, rhythmic tremors rose from the ground beneath him. At first it was faint, like distant thunder. After barely half a minute, the vibrations intensified violently, shaking the entire giant tree. Lin Mu frowned and slowly opened his eyes. Annoyance clouded his features from being woken up. He sat upright and glanced downward. One glance was all it took to capture his full attention. The once empty wasteland below had transformed into a sea of shadow. Countless monsters surged toward the dead tree from every direction, driven into a maddened frenzy. Groups of level 4 and 5 corrupted plains wolves ran in packs. Level 8 and 9 steel-spined porcupines charged forward with bloodshot eyes and foaming jaws. Behind the horde loomed several over 5 meters long berserk monitor lizards at level 15. They trampled weaker monsters, blocking their path into pulp as they advanced. A rough estimate placed their numbers at no fewer than 300. Every single monster shared one single target. Lin Mu perched atop the tree. Dozens of plains wolves reached the trunk first, sinking claws and fangs into the massive wood and gnawing relentlessly. Crack, crack. Wood chips flew everywhere, and the giant dead tree teetered on the verge of collapse. This isn't a natural gathering of monsters, Lin Mu quickly deduced. He lifted his gaze and locked onto a miniature drone hovering 100 meters above him. So someone orchestrated this. 2 kilometers away, on the leeward side of the earthen slope, Chu Tianqua stared at the surveillance feed on his tablet, a mocking smile spreading across his face. It's starting. He suppressed his excitement and growled. Even a seasoned knight nearing first advancement would get worn down to death surrounded by this many monsters, let alone an ordinary warrior. On screen, a huge chunk of the tree trunk had been gnawed away, tilting sharply to one side. Chu Tianqua fixed his gaze on Lin Mu's face. He ached to witness Lin Mu panic, break down, and scream in terror. He planned to record footage of Lin Mu begging frantically for help toward the camp. But what unfolded on screen was nothing like he expected. Lin Mu made no plea for assistance. Sitting on the slanting branch, he neatly folded his blanket and stowed it back into storage. Then he turned toward the drone's camera and broke into an exceptionally bright, almost amiable grin. The kind of smile someone wears when the delivery person arrives right on schedule. I was tired of wandering around hunting monsters. Lin Mu stretched his limbs and rotated his wrists. I'd planned to take it easy today, yet such a pleasant surprise landed right in front of me. His voice was swallowed by the monster's roars, but the high-resolution camera captured every shape of his lips clearly. Going out of your way to lead this horde straight to me. I'll have to find a chance to properly thank you. Boom. The dead tree snapped completely. The enormous trunk, carrying Lin Mu along with it, plummeted toward the swarm of monsters waiting with jaws agape below. Chu Tianqua squeezed his fists so tightly his nails dug into his flesh. Envoy Qin, come out now. Qinlan watched silently from high above. She did not believe these monsters, the strongest, barely level 16, posed a greater threat than the level 30 wild boars Lin Mu had fought the previous day. So she simply observed with boredom. She had spotted the small group scheming in the distance, yet she could not be bothered to interfere. She would not mind seeing Lin Mu suffer a little hardship. After all, the young man was far too arrogant. Lin Mu fell through the air. He summoned no weapons, letting his body go limp. Beneath him, a level 16 berserk monitor lizard leaped high, its thorn-lined maw aiming precisely for Lin Mu's waist. Lin Mu fell straight into the lizard's open jaws. Crunch! A deafening crunch echoed out. No blood splattered. No sickening crack of shattering bones. Only a faint white damage number floated above Lin Mu's head. 0. The next instant. Aya! The berserk monitor lizard let out a blood-curdling wail. Its jaws, powerful enough to crush steel, began splitting apart the moment they made contact with Lin Mu's skin. Dozens of massive fangs snapped off at once, flying outward mixed with flesh and blood. Thud! Lin Mu landed steadily, feet pressing into leaf-littered soil. The monster horde immediately encircled him. Over 30 monsters attacked simultaneously. Claws, venomous fangs, sharp horns, wind blades, physical strikes and low-grade magic assaults poured over Lin Mu like rain. 0, 0, 0. Countless zero-damage notifications merged into a sheet of blinding white light. Lin Mu did not strike back. He did not even adopt a blocking stance. Every monster that touched him was sent flying with shattered bones and pained howls by the overwhelming recoil force. Lin Mu pulled out the boar-tooth blade and berserker's axe once more and pressed them against his neck. Screech! Screech! He resumed his familiar sawing motion as he strolled forward, walking straight into the densest core of the monster horde. He had intended to slack off today, but someone had kindly volunteered to help him farm experience. He could not bring himself to waste such an opportunity. Leveling up his skill this way was effortless and fast, far more comfortable than grinding by sawing his own neck alone. On the opposite slope in the distance, silence hung heavy. Chu Tianqua's 4 teammates stood pale and speechless. Clang! Chu Tianqua's tablet slipped from his grasp and smashed against a rock, its screen fracturing into spiderweb cracks. He paid it no heed. His mouth hung open, pupils trembling violently as though staring at the most unnatural creature alive. What in the world is this monster? At the heart of the monster horde, the stench of blood hung thick enough to choke on. Yet to Lin Mu, the scent was more alluring than premium perfume. He sheathed the berserker's axe and boar-tooth blade, casually wiping blood off the axe head onto his trousers. With over 300 free laborers attacking him non-stop, he saw no reason to exert himself. He lifted his head and scanned his surroundings. Everywhere he looked, crimson eyes, interlocking fangs, and dripping saliva filled his view. Lin Mu ignored several corrupted plains wolves clamping their jaws onto his thighs and gazed past the crowd toward a flat gray boulder not far away. That spot will do. He stepped forward. As soon as his feet touched the ground, 2 level 15 berserk monitor lizards charged at him from left and right. Boom, boom. With dull impacts, the lizards' tough skulls caved inward visibly. 0, 0. Powerful recoil sent both lizards flying more than 10 meters away, crashing through several dead trees. Lin Mu did not sway in the slightest. He reached the gray boulder, turned around, and sat down naturally. He crossed his legs, folded his hands behind his head, and stretched lazily. He looked just like an elderly man lounging on a beach chair soaking up sunlight. Roar! The horde flew into a rage at such blatant disregard. A row of steel-spined porcupines at the front tensed their bodies, launching hundreds of black quills like a storm. Clink, clank, clink. A continuous din of metal rang out. The quills struck Lin Mu's skin without leaving so much as a pale mark, snapping apart and falling to the ground. Wolves and monitor lizards surged forward in waves, quickly swallowing the boulder and Lin Mu whole. Claws tore, jaws bit, tails whipped, venom sprayed. A chaotic mix of colorful attack effects and dull impacts filled the air. Lin Mu closed his eyes atop the boulder. On his retina, golden system notifications scrolled at a dizzying pace. Attack received, block triggered. Experience plus 40,000. Attack received, block triggered. Experience plus 40,000. Attack received, block triggered. Experience plus 40,000. Ding. Block talent has leveled up. The notification alerts sounded like a relentless printing press, dozens popping up every second. Numbers on his experience bar skyrocketed at an astonishing rate. Lin Mu bit down hard on his lower lip. He could not afford to laugh out loud. Qinlan was still watching. Cackling wildly in this situation would make him look far too bizarre. He pressed his lips firmly shut, muscles in his cheeks tensing from the strain. A plains wolf creeping forward to bite his nose froze mid-motion at his odd expression. The next second, the wolf sank its teeth into Lin Mu's forehead. Crack! Its fangs shattered into fragments. Block experience plus 40,000. Lin Mu's shoulders began shaking violently. He buried his face in his knees, muffled, suppressed chuckles rumbling from his throat. This feeling was incredible. With a 40,000-fold experience multiplier active, his talent experience surged endlessly. Grinding alone would have exhausted him completely. But now, 300 monsters labored tirelessly to level him up for free. 2 kilometers away, behind the opposite slope, the rustle of wind sweeping over dry grass sounded painfully loud. Chu Tianqua's team remained frozen in place for 5 full minutes. The cracked tablet screen still displayed footage transmitted by the drone. The monster horde continued to churn wildly around the boulder. From within the crowd came eerie, muffled laughter. Monkey's telescope slipped out of his hands. He made no move to pick it up, slowly turning to face Chu Tianqua, his face as pale as a corpse. Brother Chu. Monkey's teeth chattered. He's laughing. Who? The shield warrior swallowed hard, his throat dry. Lin Mu. Monkey pointed shakily at the tablet screen. Monsters are biting him non-stop. He takes 0 damage, and he's laughing. His whole shoulders are shaking. Chu Tianqua's eyes twitched non-stop. He squatted down abruptly, snatched up the shattered tablet, and stared rigidly at the screen. The drone had flown far too close, and its audio recorder captured every sound from below with crystal clarity. Crack! It was the sound of a monster's bones snapping from the force of the rebound. Hee. That was Lin Mo's suppressed laughter. The two sounds intertwined, more spine-chilling than any horror movie ever made. Impossible. The shield warrior clutched his head and stumbled backward in utter collapse. Even a level 50 paladin couldn't endure hundreds of monsters with nothing but their body. He doesn't even have any gear. He's just a plain warrior with no enhancements. Retreat. Chu Tianqua shot to his feet. His voice was quiet, yet filled with undeniable panic. Brother Chu, we're not watching anymore? Monkey froze for a moment. What's there to watch? Chu Tianqua tore the badge off his chest, hurled the tablet hard onto the ground, and ground it to pieces under his boot. Scrap the plan. Leave this place at once. His mind was in complete turmoil. This man was no freeloader relying on a woman. He was a monster wearing human skin. Launching an ambush against him? Chu Tianqua thought he had gathered all his stupidity into a single day. Once Lin Mo realized what they had done, even if all of these so-called geniuses joined forces, they would stand no chance against him. They existed in entirely different leagues. Erase all traces, blend into other hunting parties, and act as if nothing has happened. Chu Tianqua spoke at breakneck speed and took the lead, sprinting deeper into the wasteland. Under no circumstances can we let him find out we were behind this. Every single one of you will bury what happened today deep inside. The four fled deep into the wilderness without looking back, like stray dogs on the run. Night fell over Blackspire hunting camp. Bright lamps lit up the main hall. Covered in mud, newly awakened trainees slumped in chairs in small groups. At the round table in the southwest corner sat Chu Tianqua's 4-man squad. 4 untouched cups of synthetic hot tea rested on the tabletop. Monkey lifted his paper cup, his wrist shaking nonstop. Scalding tea sloshed onto the back of his hand, leaving a bright red burn mark. Whether Lin Mo relied on his own power or some high-tier item, one truth was clear. He was someone they could not afford to provoke. Chu Tianqua kicked Monkey hard on the shin. Fix your expression. He lowered his voice, his tone icy. Do you want everyone to suspect something is wrong? Monkey's hand trembled, and the cup clattered onto the table. Tea spilled everywhere. The shield warrior grabbed a rag to wipe the table, moving with rigid stiffness. The priest girl cowered, on the verge of tears. Brother Chu, let's withdraw from the consortium tomorrow. We can just leave Radiant City, the shield warrior muttered shakily. Every time I close my eyes, I see those monsters swarming him. It's horrifying. Shut up. Chu Tianqua ground his teeth, veins bulging along his jawline. Nothing happened. We spent the whole day hunting level 5 monsters along the eastern zone's edge. None of us saw Lin Mo understood. The heavy curtain covering the hall entrance was pulled aside. A tall, straight figure stepped inside. Noise in the hall faded for a split second. With his 150,000 points on the leaderboard from the previous afternoon, Lin Mo had become a taboo topic throughout the camp. Lin Mo swept his gaze across the room before settling on the southwest corner. He then strode straight toward the table. Monkey's pupils contracted sharply, and his breath caught in his throat. He instinctively reached for the dagger at his waist. Chu Tianqua slammed a hand down on Monkey's wrist, veins bulging prominently beneath his skin. He strained every muscle in his face to force a natural smile. Monkey, those Windblade Wolves today were truly tough opponents. Still, our coordination held up fairly well. Tomorrow we should push onward to the level 6 monster zone. Chu Tianqua raised his voice, letting his words echo across the corner. The shield warriors stammered to follow along. Right? Those wolves had tough claws. They left marks all over my shield. Luckily, Lindsay healed us just in time. I'm just doing my job, the priest girl mumbled, covering half her face and stumbling over her words. They spoke loudly to mask their terror. Lin Mo reached the table. He pulled out the only vacant folding chair and sat down. The four fell silent instantly. Cold sweat soaked Monkey's combat uniform all along his back. Chu Tianqua turned his head, feigning surprise upon noticing Lin Mo, his smile flawless. Lin Mo, what a coincidence. You became famous after yesterday's fight. 150,000 points. Everyone in camp admires you. Lin Mo said nothing. He picked up an empty paper cup and poured himself hot water. Steam curled upward. That's a fine set of armor you have, Lin Mo remarked, his eyes falling on Chu Tianqua's protective gear. Not a single scratch on it. Chu Tianqua's eyelid twitched violently. His mind raced to process the clue. Scratches? Was he referring to how Chu Tianqua's clothes had remained unscathed by branches while they lay in wait in the dry forest earlier that day? Had he figured it out? Hunting out in the wild means constant scrapes and bumps. Chu Tianqua picked up his cup and sipped water to moisten his parched throat. We trekked through woods all day in the eastern zone. Our gear usually takes a beating. The eastern zone? Lin Mo blew gently over his hot water. I thought you were on the high slopes in the western zone. Those words nearly made Monkey collapse in fright. His legs shook wildly beneath the table. The shield warrior's heavy breathing drowned out surrounding chatter. The priest girl nearly screamed and clamped a hand over her mouth. Chu Tianqua set down his cup, fingers squeezing tight around its walls. He must not admit anything. He would deny it to his last breath. Without concrete evidence, Lin Mo could prove nothing. Monster levels in the western zone are far too high for us. Chu Tianqua maintained a steady expression. I heard there was a monster outbreak there today. Hundreds of beasts running amok. Just thinking about it is terrifying. He brought up the monster horde on purpose, hoping to shift the topic and gauge Lin Mo's reaction. Lin Mo took a sip of water. You call that a horde? He set the cup back down on the table. That number of monsters was hardly entertaining. Chu Tianqua's heart lurched. But your drone flew far too low. Lin Mo lifted his gaze, his stare piercing straight into Chu Tianqua. The whir of its propellers gave me a headache. The sentence struck like a sledgehammer, shattering every layer of Chu Tianqua's pretense. Lin Mo knew every detail. He had been aware of their presence from the very start. Monkey could bear the pressure no longer. His legs buckled, and he dropped to his knees. Brother Lin, we had no choice. It's all Ling's. Quiet, you fool. Chu Tianqua shot to his feet and slammed his palm onto the table. Punishment from camp authorities was trivial compared to the consequences of betraying the consortium. Under no circumstances could Lin Mo learn about the consortium's involvement. Even if the fallout was mild, betrayal was unforgivable. The consortium eliminated traitors without hesitation. What exactly do you want, Lin Mo? Chu Tianqua lowered his voice. We know we are outmatched, and we concede defeat. Report us to the camp disciplinary office if you wish. We will accept whatever penalty you hand down. He was gambling. He wagered Lin Mo held no tangible proof. As long as they refused to admit they had lured the monsters, Lin Mo could do nothing to hold them accountable. Lin Mo stared at Chu Tianqua's taut face, inwardly amused. Such a dramatic performance. Report you. Lin Mo leaned back against his chair. I don't need outside help to deal with the likes of you. Cold dread washed over all 4 members of the squad. Was Lin Mo planning to attack them personally? What do you intend to do? Chu Tianqua's heart sank, and he gritted his teeth. If you spare our lives, we can pay compensation. Compensate me? Do you even have the means? Lin Mo's question left them speechless. They truly had nothing of value to offer. If their circumstances were better, they would never have become the consortium's lackeys. Now that their mission to claim first place had failed, they risked being cast aside entirely. They possessed no assets to pay Lin Mo. Lin Mo held out one palm upward. You may live, but I want more of that item. Chu Tianqua was thoroughly confused. Monkey stopped shaking and lifted his head blankly from the floor. The shield warrior gaped, forgetting to breathe. The priest girl stared at Lin Mo, lost in thought. What item? Chu Tianqua struggled to comprehend. The substance you used to draw the monsters, Lin Mo explained patiently. It had a slightly sweet, metallic tang. Chu Tianqua's pupils flared wide. Lin Mo was asking for the monster lure incense? Staggering shock robbed him of speech. It was contraband supplied by the consortium, a trump card meant to sabotage rivals. Now the target of their scheme was actively requesting it. Why? Why do you want that? Chu Tianqua's voice turned hoarse. The hundreds of monsters this afternoon weren't enough fun, Lin Mo said earnestly. I want to draw a far larger group. I assume you still have stock left. A heavy silence fell over the table. Monkey's mouth opened and closed repeatedly without producing sound. Chu Tianqua studied Lin Mo's calm features. He confirmed there was no mockery or threat hidden behind his words. Lin Mo truly wanted the incense. He regarded a monster horde powerful enough to wipe out dozens of squads as mere amusement. What kind of terrifying freak was this? Trembling, Chu Tianqua reached into a hidden pocket on his tactical harness and pulled out 2 identical glass vials. These are all I have left. He pushed the vials across the table toward Lin Mo. Lin Mo picked one up, pulled out the wooden stopper, and sniffed. This was exactly the scent he remembered. Good. He tucked the vials into his pocket. I appreciate your work today, so I will let this matter rest. But do not attempt anything like this again. He stood and turned to leave. Wait. Chu Tianqua called out without thinking. Lin Mo paused and glanced back. This substance is extremely potent. Chu Tianqua swallowed hard. A single vial attracts monsters across a 10-kilometer radius. Used carelessly, it can get you killed. He feared if Lin Mo accidentally brought disaster upon himself, investigators would trace everything back to their squad. You worry too much. You four would all perish before anything happens to me. Lin Mo waved a hand dismissively. He walked several paces then stopped, turning to glance at Chu Tianqua, before shifting his gaze meaningfully toward the huddled priest girl. One more thing. Do not follow me tomorrow. Otherwise, you may lose your lives. With that, Lin Mo lifted the curtain and exited the hall. He chose to spare the 4 not purely for the lure incense, which was merely an unexpected bonus. The real reason, the priest on their team was an old acquaintance he and Su Xiaoli had known long ago. She had once done him and Xiaoli a great kindness. Yet after all these years, she appeared not to recognize him. In the corner of the hall, the 4 remained motionless for a long time, as though all strength had been drained from their bodies. Monkey slowly clambered to his feet, soaked head to toe in sweat. Brother Chu, his teeth chattered. Does he plan to unleash an even bigger monster horde? Chu Tianqua sank back into his chair, his gaze empty as he stared at the water stains on the tabletop. We cannot begin to guess what someone of his caliber intends to do. Chu Tianqua drew a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. Enough. All of you keep your mouths sealed. This situation is beyond our ability to handle. Send a full report to the consortium immediately. The discovery of such an abnormal individual here might reduce the penalties waiting for us. At those words, the remaining 3 finally relaxed slightly. Meanwhile, on a balcony railing on the 2nd floor, Qin Lan stood with her arms folded. Every word exchanged downstairs reached her ears clearly. As a 5th transition powerhouse, her senses could capture fine details within a 1-kilometer range. She had expected Lin Mo to leverage Su Xiaoli's influence to punish the 4 trainees who plotted against him. Instead, he had simply taken 2 vials of lure incense. Could this boy truly intend to summon a massive monster horde just to grind proficiency for his block-breaking skill? Qin Lan knitted her brows tightly. Through her covert observations over the past 2 days, she was nearly certain Lin Mo possessed some extreme, highly efficient damage-negating ability. Yet nothing in this world offered absolute invulnerability. Level 20 monsters failed to breach his defenses, level 30 boars could not hurt him. But what about 1st transition chieftain monsters? What about level 40 high-tier beasts? In the world of professional awakened, no ability works without limits. Once damage exceeds a certain threshold, harsh backlash from the world's rules will follow. I need to keep watching over him, lest he play with fire and burn himself. Qin Lan stared toward the direction Lin Mo had vanished, her expression growing grave. He might shrug off ordinary attacks, but monsters that deal true damage are a different story. What's more, he constantly forces his health down to a sliver using Berserk. If he meets a monster whose true damage bypasses his block threshold, he will die instantly. He is still far too young. She pulled her gaze away and glanced down at Chu Tianqua's group, making no move to stop them, sending their report upward. The Ling Consortium branch based in Radiant City? It was merely a small regional faction. As an alliance envoy, she held it in no regard. On the contrary, she was eager to see how far these local power brokers could push Lin Mo into revealing his hidden abilities. At the top floor of the Ling Consortium headquarters in central Radiant City, a low hum emanated from the holographic projection equipment. Behind a jet black desk, Ling Feng sat with one leg crossed over the other, holding a thick hand-rolled cigar. As the highest-ranking representative of the Ling Consortium in Radiant City and the fourth heir to the family, he was accustomed to looking down on everyone. A pale blue light screen unfurled in midair. Chu Tianhua and his teammates appeared on the display, their haggard faces striking an unpleasant sight. So you not only botched the leaderboard mission, lost 2 high-grade vials of monster lure incense, but now hide in a safe house like beaten dogs begging for rescue. Ling Feng exhaled a cloud of smoke that blurred his sharp features. His voice remained quiet, yet carried suffocating pressure. Chu Tianhua's Adam's apple bobbed wildly as he leaned close to the camera, bloodshot eyes filled with terror. Young Masterling, please listen to me. This is not simple mission failure. We encountered an existence beyond all common sense. He spoke rapidly, terrified the transmission would be cut off, and he would be sentenced to death on the spot. I saw it with my own eyes. Hundreds of monsters, level 3 and 4 wasteland wolves, level 15 rampaging giant lizards. They completely buried him beneath their attacks. Not a single scratch appeared on him. Every attack only produced 0 damage readings. Wolves shattered their fangs biting him. Giant lizards cracked their skulls upon impact. All died from the recoil force. Young Masterling, he laughed. While those monsters attacked him, he sat on a rock and laughed. Chu Tianhua gasped for air like a broken bellows, teetering on the edge of a mental breakdown. That's true. The 3 of us can back Brother Chu up. We all witnessed it. The other 3 squad members nodded frantically, their eyes haunted by the memory. Silence hung over the conference room for 2 full seconds. Uffed. Ling Feng could not contain his laughter. He flicked cigar ash casually, looking at the screen as if observing several fools with stunted intelligence. Chu Tianhua, do you take me for a brainless idiot? Ling Feng's smile vanished abruptly. He leaned forward, his gaze sharp enough to cut as it stabbed toward the hologram. A newly awakened plain warrior enduring hundreds of monsters' attacks with his bare body without taking damage? Do you think this is a web novel? Some deity reincarnating to experience mortal life? Young Masterling, I swear on my life every word I say is true. Monkey and the others were all there. You can investigate as you please. Chu Tianhua slammed his thigh anxiously. He understood how absurd his account sounded, yet he knew how eerie Lin Mo truly was. Silence. Ling Feng cut him off coldly with 2 words. He leaned back into his leather chair and sorted through the information racing through his mind. Use whatever small amount of brains you have, Chu Tianhua. A newly awakened commoner will have base stats no higher than 20 to 30 points at most. Even if his talent grants damage reduction, it would only mitigate 8 or 10 points of damage. You watch him take no damage and see monsters die from recoil, and you immediately label him a monster. Ling Feng sneered, utterly confident in his conclusion. The answer is simple. He carries a high-tier absolute defense item, something like the talisman of Mother Earth's Sigh. Chu Tianhua stared blankly at the light screen. An item? Had young Master Ling spent too long sheltered from reality and lost his mind? High-tier equipment could only be wielded by high-level awakened. Lower-level users gain no benefits from them. All gear required a minimum level to equip. Ling Feng chose not to elaborate. Chu Tianhua's standing was too low to access such classified knowledge. Just then, an aide hurried in through the doorway. He barely glanced at the active hologram before marching straight to Ling Feng's desk. Young Master, we have obtained the top-secret intelligence the Alliance sealed off from the Awakening Square. The aide set a black metal case heavily onto the desktop and drew a deep breath. The aide lowered his voice, barely masking his excitement. Ling Feng raised an eyebrow. Work was fast. Was the operation difficult? Moderately challenging. After all, the incident unfolded publicly at the square. It is impressive the Alliance managed to suppress news for several days. With enough money offered, there are always people willing to talk. Very well. Tell me what you learned. Ling Feng grew impatient. Right away, young master. The adjutant input a string of passwords. Click. The briefcase snapped open. There were no physical documents inside, only a thumb-sized deep blue storage crystal. Ling Feng picked up the crystal and inserted it into the reader slot on the table. The holographic screen split instantly into 2 halves. On the left stood Chu Tianhua waiting for instructions. On the right lay a top-secret file stamped with the Alliance's crimson seal of highest-level protection. Ling Feng glanced casually over the document. The first thing he saw was a photograph of a girl named Su Xiaoli. Below it was her information panel. The moment his eyes landed on one line of text, plop. The cigar slipped from Ling Feng's fingers and landed on his trousers, burning a charred hole into the fabric. He paid it no mind. He stared rigidly at those words, his pupils trembling violently in their sockets. his breath catching completely in his throat. Class, Overlord, rank, Mythic chosen by Sovereign, chosen by Sovereign. Ling Feng shot abruptly to his feet. The movement was so forceful it sent the leather armchair behind him crashing onto its side. He braced both hands against the desk, his knuckles blanching stark white from crushing tension. Young master. The adjutant jumped and hurried forward. Get out of my way. Ling Feng shoved the adjutant aside, his gaze blazing with near maniacal fervor and greed. Chu Tianhua on the hologram was stunned by Ling Feng's reaction, not daring to draw a loud breath. No wonder. No wonder the Alliance envoy is stationed here. No wonder the Alliance activated top-tier confidentiality protocols. Ling Feng paced wildly behind the desk, muttering to himself nervously. A sovereign chosen class. One that has not appeared for centuries. The legendary ultimate class capable of touching the source of fundamental laws. His mind raced at full speed. To the consortium, mythic rank talents were precious, yet merely elite fighters. But a sovereign chosen was different. The bloodline, genes, and even the person herself who bore a sovereign chosen class were the key to unlocking the ultimate power of this world. If the Ling clan could seize control of Su Xiaoli through a political marriage or some secret bloodline transcription ritual, the Ling consortium would no longer merely be a corporate power. They would become the uncrowned rulers of this world. Yet Su Xiaoli had already been taken to Core City by Qin Lan. That was the Alliance's home territory, where the consortium's influence could not reach. Ling Feng's gaze suddenly froze on the line, listing Su Xiaoli's kinship. Lin Mo's name sat there alone. He spun sharply, fixing his stare on Chu Tianhua projected on the screen. You told me Lin Mo is a blank slate warrior. Ling Feng's voice trembled from overwhelming excitement. What is his relationship with Su Xiaoli? Chu Tianhua shuddered all over and hastened to reply. Young Master Ling. Everyone in school knows Lin Mo, and Su Xiaoli grew up together in the orphanage. They are childhood sweethearts. Their bond runs extremely deep. After Su Xiaoli awakened her mythic class, she publicly declared she would support Lin Mo, refusing to be separated from him no matter what. Ha ha! Ling Feng threw back his head and burst into unrestrained laughter. His wild laughter echoed across the entire top-floor conference room. Ha ha ha! Qin Lan, Qin Lan. Ling Feng stepped back to the desk, resting his palms flat against its surface. His eyes darkened, dripping with malice. Your arrogance is simply insufferable. Su Xiaoli has such a critical weakness wandering out in the wilderness, and you only leave Qin Lan watching from above? It seems the Alliance has sat atop its pedestal for far too long. Arrogance always comes with a price. He turned toward the adjutant, his tone deceptively calm. First, assist the Alliance in containing the news to slow its spread as much as possible. Second, profound meaning glinted in Ling Feng's eyes. Years of training await the moment of deployment. Mobilize the Night Owl Special Operations Unit within Glimmer City. Send every single member out. Hearing the name Night Owl from the hologram, Chu Tianhua gasped. These were Ling Feng's personal assassins. All of them were peak First Awakening, with the lowest level among them standing at level 80, tasked with carrying out the consortium's dirtiest work. Young Master Ling, should we kill Lin Mo? Chu Tianhua ventured to ask. Kill him? Right now he is worth more than pure gold. Ling Feng's eyes twitched, filled with ruthless calculation. Capture him alive. I will send this gift back to the main clan. Once I do, even Ling Beiqiao will not be able to contest my claim to consortium heir. Chu Tianhua swallowed hard, forcing down his rising fear and offering a reminder. But young Master Ling, Lin Mo is an eerie one. Hundreds of monsters could not sink their teeth into him. This matter is no longer your concern. With that, Ling Feng cut off the communication. Chu Tianhua possessed decent talent, yet an epic rank was still not enough to earn his full regard. In this world, all beneath mythic rank were ants. Damage negating item, is it? Ling Feng let out a scoff, as if he had already seen through every last one of Lin Mo's tricks. It only blocks damage. Can it negate crowd control too? He turned to the adjutant. Head to the armory. Prepare one of every type of binding scroll. Distribute 3 true damage, armor-piercing, and slashing magic scrolls to each Night Owl operative. The adjutant's eyes widened, heart pounding wildly. Ling Feng straightened the tie of his tailored suit, a cruel smirk tugging at his lips. The Night Owl unit departs immediately. Within 3 days, I want Lin Mo brought to my office, groveling like a dog. The adjutant drew a deep breath. The 6th young master had finally bared his fangs. It was clear he would stop at nothing to seize Lin Mo barracks of Blackspire Outpost, single dormitory. Lin Mo grabbed a towel and dried his hair, stepping bare-chested over to sit on the bed. He exhaled heavily. At his thought, A pale blue holographic status panel unfurled like a waterfall across his field of vision. As he stared at the staggering statistics displayed there, the corners of his mouth slowly lifted. Hundreds of low-level monsters grinding non-stop. It felt amazing, truly incredible. Coupled with his 40,000-fold experience multiplier, his gains today were nothing short of absurd. Talent, block level 2096. Effect, all incoming damage is reduced by 20,960 points upon being struck. 20,960 points of damage reduction. That meant any strike dealing less than 20,960 damage would not even scratch him. Against multiple hits, as long as no single attack exceeded that threshold, every blow would deal 0 damage. He scrolled down to his skill list. Berserk level 350. Effect, gain 194.5 tenacity, 194.5 physical lifesteal, and boost strength and speed by 274.5. Cost, drain 10 maximum health per second, cannot drop below 1 HP. Cooldown, none. Advanced ability, Advent of the Berserk God. Parry level 290. Effect, parry incoming physical attacks within 0.5 seconds, mitigating 229 all-element damage and reflecting 109.5 true damage back to the attacker. Cooldown, 2 seconds. Advanced ability, Impenetrable Bulwark. These outrageous stats were almost unbelievable. Level 350 Berserk boosted his strength and speed by a full 274.5. Stacked with the advent of the Berserk God's independent threefold all-attribute multiplier, his strength and speed reached 1,125.5 of his base values. A full 10-fold increase. Parry was equally formidable. Its reflected damage surpassed 100. If someone struck him, they would take heavier damage in return while he remained completely unharmed. Simply absurd. Thinking this over, Lin Mo pulled out the 2 bottles of monster lure incense in his hand. Tomorrow he would draw a massive horde of monsters to activate his fully automated experience farming once more. At the thought of experience points skyrocketing tomorrow, he let out an odd snickering laugh. Buzz, the phone on the bedside table, vibrated violently. Lin Mo narrowed his eyes. Who would be contacting him this late? He reached out and accepted the call without speaking first. Heavy, suppressed breathing came from the other end of the line. 5 full seconds passed before a faint, trembling female voice traveled through the transmission. Is that Xiao Mo? At those 2 words, Lin Mo's hand froze mid-wipe. He quickly sorted through familiar voices in his mind before his gaze sharpened. Sister Lin? Lin Mo called out tentatively. A sob burst from the other side of the line, as if fear that had built up for a long time had finally found an outlet. Xiao Mo, it really is you. Was that truly you I saw in the outpost hall today? Li Qilin, the priestess who had followed Chu Tianhua earlier, lingering at the back of the group, keeping her head down the entire time. She was also 3 years older than Lin Mo and Su Xiaoli, the elder sister from their orphanage. 7 years prior, she left the orphanage alone. 3 years later, she began sending regular payments back every single month. She had never stopped. Lin Mo's expression softened, and he replied gently, "It's me. I'm sorry about what happened earlier. I didn't know it was you. Where is Xiaoli? Is she with you?" Xiaoli was taken to Core City by the Alliance envoy. She is safe for now. Sister Lin, you work for the consortium? After hearing Lin Mo's question, Li Qilin fell silent for several seconds. She was not surprised Lin Mo had guessed her affiliation with the consortium, having seen the monster lure incense. You know how it is. There are so many younger children in the orphanage. They all need schooling, and everything costs money. Not everyone is as sharp and capable as you. Bitterness laced Li Qilin's tone. No one else in this world could support themselves through school at such a young age, just like you. Lin Mo fell quiet. The next instant, Li Qilin's speech quickened, thick with urgent anxiety. Xiao Mo, don't worry about me right now. Find the Alliance envoy immediately and ask her to take you away. Lin Mo frowned. What has happened? Chu Tianhua reported everything from today to the Ling Consortium. Li Qilin spoke disjointedly, her breathing growing more frantic. Ling Feng, the young master of the consortium stationed in Glimmer City, has uncovered the intelligence that Xiaoli holds a mythic sovereign chosen class. He intends to take you hostage to threaten Xiaoli, or to negotiate terms with the Alliance. Lin Mo's gaze turned cold. Qinlan had warned him the day Su Xiaoli awakened. It seemed the first major antagonist had arrived. Sister Lin, calm down and speak slowly. Lin Mo's voice remained eerily steady, easing Li Qilin's panic slightly. Xiao Mo, do you not understand? They are coming for you. Li Qilin was on the verge of tears. He has deployed his personal Night Owl unit. They are all his private assassins, every single one a peak First Awakening professional, capped at level 90. Level 90. Peak First Awakening. Lin Mo was mildly startled. He wondered if they could break through his level 2000 plus block talent. Damn it. If he was not stuck at level 30 with maxed experience, he would have already reached level 90. When Lin Mo did not reply, Li Qilan assumed he was terrified and rushed to add more details. Ling Feng has supplied the Night Owl unit with countless crowd control scrolls, alongside high-grade magic scrolls bearing true damage and armor-breaking effects. Lin Mo raised an eyebrow. True damage scrolls, armor penetration, crowd control. He repeated the words quietly. Strictly speaking, block was not complete damage immunity, but damage absorption. Penetration and true damage therefore held no effect against block. It was simply the innate rule of the powerful block mechanic. As for crowd control, Lin Mo glanced at his tenacity stat. Li Qilan knew nothing of these mechanics and grew even more anxious. Yes, true damage ignores all defenses and damage reduction. Xiao Mo, you must be careful. You are merely a newly awakened warrior. Your health cannot withstand such attacks. She gripped her communication device tightly. Flee while they have not yet moved. Beg Envoy Qin to bring you to Core City. You will be safe once you arrive there. Sister Lin. Lin Mo cut her off, his tone strangely serene. Huh. Thank you for warning me. Li Qilan fell into a daze. There's no need to thank me. Her mind stalled for a moment. I'm sure you already know what to do. You've always been so clever. I know you and Xiaoli will go farther than I ever can. You must survive this crisis. I will. Lin Mo smiled. Stay strong, Sister Lin. Oh, I will stay strong too. I'll hang up now, please stay safe. Beep beep, the call ended. Lin Mo let out a quiet breath. A familiar warmth settled in his chest. After all these years, that clumsy, self-proclaimed big sister had not changed at all. Pulling himself back to the present, his expression turned grave. Ling Feng, the consortium's young heir. His first adversary had appeared sooner than anticipated, yet not entirely unexpectedly. Where interests clashed, resistance was inevitable. First place in the siege hunt guaranteed admission to the top universities alongside a massive reward. The title itself carried immense prestige, serving as powerful publicity. If a consortium candidate claimed victory, they could leverage the achievement for tremendous commercial gain. Lin Mo's overwhelming victory pushed him onto the consortium's radar. Naturally, their investigation into him uncovered Su Xiaoli's abnormality. Fortunately, the Alliance maintained strict oversight over class practitioner levels. Within regions such as Glimmer City, peak First Awakening represented the absolute limit. Anyone without official Alliance status who advanced beyond First Awakening faced rigorous interrogation and surveillance, and could not reside in the area long-term. Second Awakening practitioners could enter Morning Light City and Azure City freely. Gaining entry to Glimmer City, however, was prohibited. Only local residents with permanent family ties might apply for long-term residency. That made Qin Lan, a peak Fifth Awakening epic mage, effectively the guardian of Glimmer City. Still, even peak First Awakening fighters were formidable. Lin Mo could not be certain he would win. Peak First Awakening meant level 90. Every subsequent awakening required far more levels to achieve. 0 to First Awakening required progression from level 0 to level 30. Advancing from First to Second Awakening demanded reaching level 90, a 60-level gap. By that logic, Second to Third Awakening required advancing all the way to level 180, a 90-level increase. Third to Fourth Awakening needed a further 120 levels, reaching level 300. The power gap between each awakening tier was enormous. 95% of people in this world would never reach Third Awakening. First Awakening was comparable to a university graduate in his previous world. Second Awakening stood equivalent to top-tier experts, scholars, and successful entrepreneurs. Defeating a peak First Awakening practitioner as a Zero Awakening was no trivial feat. It was roughly analogous to a junior high student overcoming a postgraduate. Even if they moved tomorrow, they would first need to draw Qin Lan away. Otherwise, every operative they sent would merely become her prey. A peak Fifth Awakening epic mage formally enlisted with the Alliance was no trivial threat. Even if Qin Lan was lured away, Lin Mo felt no fear. Peak First Awakening fighters? He would test their strength. Lin Mo's gaze drifted to the 2 bottles of Monster Lure incense in his grasp. Within one day tomorrow, he would see if he could pull off a miracle, all relying on these 2 bottles of incense. Monster Lure incense. Let me witness your absolute limits. The following dawn, chilling frost lingered in the air surrounding Blackspire Hunt Outpost. Most new recruits remained in the hall sorting gear, forming teams, and purchasing potions. Lin Mo walked alone into the mist-shrouded wilderness. He sought a breed of wild monster with extremely high attack frequency, relentless in pursuit. Only by gathering them with monster lure incense could he maximize his experience gain rate. An hour later. Hiss, rustle, rustle. Within thick purplish-black toxic mist, Lin Mo halted and looked ahead. 30 meters forward stood a withered giant tree wide enough for 100 people to link arms around its trunk. Nestled in its canopy hung a massive dark purple beehive, nearly the size of a hill. Countless holes pockmarked the hive's surface, with forearm-length giant bees constantly streaming in and out. A chilling pale blue glow glinted on their stingers. Understanding flickered across Lin Mo's eyes. As one of the top students in his cohort, he recognized this monster instantly. Doomstinger Wasp, level 25, health 1000, strength 5, constitution 100, spirit 5, speed 1000. Traits: extremely high attack frequency. Stinger inflicts 150 true damage and injects neurotoxin 5 health drain per second for 30 seconds. Stackable. This monster was frequently highlighted in lectures at the academy. It was also the wild monster responsible for the highest practitioner fatality rate. Its base stats were unremarkable when judged individually. The danger lay in its swarming nature. A single Doomstinger Wasp hive housed at minimum 10,000 specimens. They possessed staggering true damage alongside stacking poison effects. Though only level 25, practitioners below level 50 had 0 recorded survival odds upon encountering them. Even a level 108 Second Awakening practitioner once lost his life after underestimating a swarm. A smirk tugged at Lin Mo's lips. Too bad my block mechanic counters you perfectly. Lin Mo licked his lips. Doomstinger Wasps, huh? Come work for me. All of you. He lifted a large boulder and hurled it hard at the hill-sized beehive. 2,000 meters above the ground. Qinlan's body jolted, nearly falling from her aerial position. That boy is courting disaster again. It was a swarm of Doomstinger Wasps. The most infamous pack of magical beasts roaming the outskirts of Glimmer City, known as the Slayers of Novice Practitioners. The mortality rate of new professional practitioners in Shimmer City has remained alarmingly high, and 80% of all casualties are caused by Doom Needle Wasps. They do not possess great strength or health, yet even level 40 and level 50 Heavy Knights will be instantly slain once they step into their territory. Their primary attacks deal armor ignoring true damage, alongside stackable poison damage. You can defend against physical damage, but can you block true damage? And even if you can withstand true damage, how will you fend off thousands upon thousands of stacked poison damage stacks? When the venom of 10,000 Doom Needle Wasps strikes a target all at once, it amounts to millions of points of true damage coupled with millions of points of poison damage. Not even third transformation professionals are guaranteed to survive it. Damn it. Is this lad going to get himself killed? Qinlan gripped her spatial item, her gaze fixed firmly on Lin Mo, ready to pull him out by force the moment things went south. Meanwhile, 1,000 meters away from Lin Mo on the leeward side, within a rotting swamp mire, a piece of dead wood slowly opened its eyes. It was Black Crow, the top scout of the Night Owl Squad. Codename, Black Crow. Level 90, peak first transformation, Shadow Stalker. Strings of eerie green data flashed rapidly across the tactical visor over his face. Beep. Captain Xiao Yi's deep, hoarse voice came through the encrypted headset. Black Crow, confirm positioning status. Captain, everything is ready. Black Crow adjusted the visor to zoom in. The next second, his breath hitched. Captain, a tone of disbelief crept into Black Crow's voice. The target seems to have lost his senses. Speak plainly. He walked right underneath the Doom Needle Wasp nest. Black Crow swallowed hard, his fingers sinking into the mud. What's more, he picked up a rock and threw it at the nest. Now he's standing directly in front of the hive. Silence fell on the other end of the headset. After a full 3 seconds, Xiao Yi spoke in utter shock. The Needle Wasps? Those rookie-killing monsters that deal both true damage and poison damage. That's the ones. Xiao Yi fell silent for a moment before letting out a cold snort. A fool who has no idea what death means. Even we dare not provoke those wild beasts. Captain, what do we do? Young Ling wants him alive. The Alliance personnel won't let him die. He must have run into conflict with the Alliance people, so he's deliberately courting disaster. I see now. Cut the chatter and keep a close watch. Send word the instant Qinlan leaves this area. Black Crow ended the communication and lay flat in the muck. He had seen plenty of reckless fools, but never one who actively marched toward his own doom. He watched the scene ahead calmly through his visor. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Chaos erupted. The boulder was like a stone hurled into a blazing volcanic vent, triggering a violent eruption of magma. The hill-sized beehive shuddered violently.